wicked, wicked. Jungle is massive. Wicked, wicked. West Ham are massive. Wicked, wicked. Jungle is massive. Wicked, yo, 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 yo. West Ham are massive. Everywhere we go. West Ham are massive. Tell them how we got this skill. West Ham are massive. Everywhere we go. West Ham are massive. Everywhere we go. Everywhere we go. West Ham are massive.
Oh, right. Oh, he's here. Look, he's here. Oh, fucking spaz boy in the middle there who can't work his laptop properly. John, can you hear us now? John, he still ain't working. I can't hear you.
Hello, John. John.
John.
John.
Fuck knows.
Hey.
Oh, hey, there he is. There he is.
Yeah, I heard an expletive. It must be working.
Yeah.
Are you all
Can you hear
plugged
me
in on
now?
the hard- Hear me now?
Yeah,
I can hear you now.
Can hear
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I've got my big internet cable connected. It still ain't working. I don't know what's going on. Sorry,
well done,
people.
mate. That's it.
I'm sorry.
It's-
People. Sorry.
honestly, fucking Virgil out. That's what I say. Virgil out.
Yeah, all this new technology is why I don't take credit card. It's too much hassle.
That ain't the reason you don't take credit cards.
Let's move on quickly.
Right. Well, look. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to talk about the West Ham Way 2.0, which has been mentioned on a few channels and in a few articles as well, and what we think that's going to look like. Well, we know what it's all about. It's our new lovely German director of football, Tim Stiedtmann, who's going to be going out there finding loads of gems. And we're going to talk about how David Moyes is going to provide the perfect environment to nurture and develop these wonderful players into to reach their full potential. So yeah, we're going to talk about that. And we're back to being massive again. I played the theme tune because, we're over Declan Rice now. We ain't even gone and I'm already over him. So we're not really going to be talking about Declan Rice too much tonight. Unless, Gary, you want to give your take on the situation. You haven't really done it yet. Do you want to do it? Do you want to talk about it?
Not really. I think everyone's bored of it. But I think, I'm glad to see him out the door at last, to be honest. We can move on and start looking at other things. He inevitably will be an Arsenal player. Yeah, bothered. Don't care. I knew he was going. It's no big surprise. I don't think he's a legend or a Judas. I'm sitting firmly on the fence with that one.
I agree. I think he's ambivalent to him. There's a lot of people saying that he won us the final. No, he didn't. He had a bad game. It was fucking Benrahma. It was Emerson. Benrahma with a penalty. Paqueta with a pass, and Bowen with a finish. That's what won us the final.
Yeah, no, damn right. I think. Look, it takes more. It takes more than what he did to be a legend in my eyes. I think he conducted himself well, himself brilliantly, and treated us with respect at all times. Never said a bad word about us and all that. But that's kind of the least you expect, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that aside, I think yes, he did. He didn't insult us. He always seemed to have a great relationship with us fans, and I kind of hope that continues. But I think that's directly proportional to. Yeah. I think that's directly proportional to how quickly he kisses the Arsenal badge and starts plating their fans.
He'll be licking the badge like they all do. Yeah, that's what he'll be doing. But yeah, so that's yeah. But yeah, I can see John boiling up in the middle there because he's still a little Declan Rice fanboy, isn't you?
I'll tell you what.
Why can you not appreciate a player? No. Why can you not appreciate?
Pull your tongue out of his arsehole, John.
No, not at all. Don't get me fucking rolled up again about it, right?
No, look, I mean, we appreciated him. But he's gone now. Go now.
Yeah.
Go now.
I want him to go now. Now, look, I've got one thing I want to say about this. This is obviously Sullivan or Brady or whoever's doing this deal. They're dicking around with this fucking 4-year payment structure thing. Simon Jordan mentioned it on TalkSport at the end of the week. He said every deal is structured over a period of years over the course of a contract. So I'm not being funny. If it's 100 million over 4 years, we get 25 million up front. You sell the 75 million pound debt to the fucking bank and say, so we get our 100 million up front and just tell Arsenal to pay the finance on it. Job done. Arsenal get their player over 4 years. We get our 100 million. Just get it done. Get him out so we can get these other players in.
I don't blame them playing hardball, though, do you? I mean, they're trying to get the deal in the shape that they want.
But Gary, they clearly can't afford to. They haven't got the cash flow to pay 100 million up front, obviously, have they? That's where this stems from.
No.
So do we want the deal to happen or do we not? Just get it over the line. They're paying over the odds anyway.
The deal's going to happen. Can you imagine Arsenal fan TV if the deal didn't happen? Bloody hell, they didn't over there.
You know what does make me laugh though is the way Sullivan's going on. I mean, you could say he's good, he's playing hardball and all that, but have you seen some of his payment structures that he does when he buys players? I mean, fucking hell.
I know.
He does like a $5 a month. Some of them, doesn't he? You know what I mean? Over fucking.
I still think we're paying for Haller, and he's been gone 2 years.
It's very hypocritical.
Yeah.
No, look. I heard that it was. I mean, Karen Brady, as we know, goes out of her way every season to earn her money. She puts in a huge contribution of like 1.5 days a week or something like that for several millions. Apparently, she managed a negotiation on this, which. So she's actually done something that we can see that's actually been quite worthwhile because she did play hardball with Arsenal. I think Sullivan would have folded sooner.
Yeah,
don't you?
Oh, we wouldn't have got 100 million if it was Sullivan. It's to be fair, it's a miracle we've got 100 million. I think it is. Look, he's a good player, but it's a lot of money for it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. I'm surprised. I do think they've overpaid. I think he's a good player, but I think they have overpaid for him. But you've got to do that, I suppose.
I've got to pick you up, Nick, on something you said, and I think John, you agreed with him, and that was towards the end of I don't know, middle of last season or something, when Nick you come out and said he's like 2 players. He's worth 2 players
to us.
Well,
to us.
I don't but I don't think in the end he was. If you look at what happened from that point on to the end of the season, I thought he got to grips with the captain's role, and he was given a specific responsibility to guard the back four. And when Cresswell was playing, to actually keep an eye on Cresswell as well, right? He was doing much, much more defensive work than he was earlier in the season, where he was surging forward quite a lot. So I would say that, he'd done it occasionally, but nowhere near as much. So I would say that thing about him being 2 players, that was kind of, that weren't true to
No. I disagree with you because he was...
babysitting Souček.
You got to think about Souček, Gal. Let's be honest. I mean, all right, Paqueta's there as well. So Paqueta and Rice are technically doing a 1.5 man job each if you take Souček out of the equation, right? And then if he's covering Cresswell as well, 50% of Cresswell, that makes 2 people, doesn't it? So
you mean he was playing 3 men? He was like doing
I do think that's right. I think in our system, if we was to just simply keep the team as it was with Souček and Paqueta and try and replace Rice with, say, Downs, not dig him Downs out, we'd be in fucking trouble. But that's why we've got to strengthen around him, because I do think that Declan Rice covered for a multitude of sins. You just mentioned one, Cresswell. He used to cover for Cresswell. He used to hold Souček's fucking baby reins to stop him running down the tunnel and up the A12 to try and keep him on the pitch.
What's this here? Is this Tony Hammer, mate? Is this a wind-up or are you being serious? I haven't heard this. So Rice has come back early off holiday to talk to Skipton about the future of the club.
Nah, he's gone, mate. I don't even want him here anymore. Do you know, now this is done, because we've had this hanging over our heads for how long? It's every window, isn't it? Every window, Rice is going. Yeah, every time he plays for fucking England, we get told how he's too good for us, talking about his next deal. Oh, do you know what? Now it's done. I really didn't want him to go, but now it's done, and I've accepted it. I genuinely, I'm over it, and I want him gone, and I'm looking forward to the players that are coming in. And I mean what I was saying. I put it on Twitter the other day. I had a week's period, perhaps not quite a week, where I reacted very badly to this, as you always do, to losing the player that you feel but as you do to losing the player that you love, if you like. Yeah. But you know something, over, gone. The Payet one hurt way more and way longer.
Yes, it did.
To me, it did.
Yeah, no. I agree with that. But the Payet one come out the blue. We wasn't expecting him to go. There was no talk of transfers. There was no talk of rumours of him leaving. I didn't know anything. There was a problem with Payet. It was obviously a family personal issue, as we know. So of course the Payet one hurt more. The Declan Rice one wouldn't have hurt. I get it. The Declan Rice one wouldn't have hurt people as much as it has if it wouldn't have been Arsenal and probably been a London club. If he would have gone up north, right, it would not have been an issue. The fact is that Arsenal fan TV dickhead who was on there with Lawless and Nicky when he said West Ham and this, that, and the other, that got a lot of West Ham's fans back up, and I totally get it. Yeah. So the fact that he's chosen Arsenal or the fact that he's gone to Arsenal, it's got people angry. But I'm not as angry as when Payet went. No, but that's because I knew he was going to go.
Well, look, listen. Let's face it. I think we'd have all been happy if he'd have gone to City. I think to a degree we would have been. So it ain't even a play. It's just the fact that he's gone to fucking Arsenal.
It's not.
That's what's wound everyone up.
I get it.
You know,
and it ain't that Arsenal. It ain't that we don't think Arsenal are a bigger club than West Ham, because they clearly are a bigger club than West Ham, right? But they're not like the pinnacle. Well, they're no longer one of the giants, right? I mean, I know they think inevitably they've signed a few players that are going to become one of the giants again. I don't personally think they will.
It doesn't always happen like that. Look at Chelsea last year. You don't buy your way to success.
No.
You know? It doesn't always work. You know, Spurs have tried to do it before, haven't they? Would have tried to build big squads, and it hasn't worked. They haven't won anything off the back of it. I mean, the Kai Havertz one. Declan Rice and Havertz, 170 million on them two.
Anyway, look, we're 11 minutes in, and we've only spoken about Declan Rice.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Go on,
and we said we wouldn't.
We wasn't going to talk about him.
Go on, John.
There was an article where they interviewed. There was a bit where they interviewed one of the City directors or something, and they spoke particularly about the Declan Rice deal. And he said, "We're not the City of old." This is what he said. He said, "We don't just throw money around anymore. If we don't think it's financially viable, we won't go any higher and we won't get them players in." And I think it's interesting because we all do have this thing where City go out and buy big players, and they do, but they also spend wisely. You know, Alvarez was 15. Alvarez was 15 million. I think Akanji was 15 million. So they don't just shop in the top echelons. We know they've got bucket loads of money and they have bought it before, but they do shop around. And I think they've got limits on players what they spend. You know.
I think with Man City, you're right, because with the likes of Man City, maybe even Liverpool with Klopp. You know, when I was I don't think they have to go out and overpay for players and overpay them personally to convince them to come in. Arsenal are playing catch up with the big boys, even though they finished second last year. They're going to have to play over the odds to get these players in until they are not also rans. You know, not a club that comes second and only getting the Champions League once every 7 fucking years. They're going to have to do it regularly, aren't they?
Yeah, of course they are. But let's not kid ourselves. You know, we're a selling club. If we get a great player, we a world class player like a Payet. Maybe next time a Paqueta, you know, when his price fucking goes through the roof. Arsenal are also a selling club. You will remember that captain after captain left Arsenal.
Oh yeah,
right, from not too long ago, because
Thierry Henry left Arsenal to go to Barcelona.
Exactly. You know? There is always someone bigger, and that is just a stepping stone for Declan Rice. It's a big stepping stone. You know, it is a step up from West Ham. Let's not kid ourselves. But it's not. It's not where he's going to.
No.
And I think it's interesting. Like I listen to TalkSport throughout the day, and I'm sure most people do. But Simon Jordan said something about Arsenal, and it's very true. He said he thinks they have to spend 200 million just to stand still.
Yeah.
So what he's trying to say is, if they spend 200 million, they're still only going to be there or thereabouts where they are now.
Yeah.
That ain't going to necessarily push them on, and that's what I feel, and that's why.
They're in the Champions League now, John. They've got to do that. I mean, otherwise they're not going to compete. They're going to get embarrassed in the Champions League. They're going to have to spend money, aren't they?
I don't think they're going to get very far in the Champions League, mate. But anyway,
no. And you know why? That's probably why they had such a great league season last year. Is that they had really? I mean, they were playing Europa League and they got knocked out of that in the quarters, was it?
Yeah, they got beat by Sporting Lisbon because they was focusing on the league. They was going to win the league because it was in the bag, wasn't it?
Yeah. And they got knocked out of the domestic cups, didn't they? The domestic cups. They were calling the league at Christmas, weren't they?
Yeah. January. Yeah. City were about 30 points behind at that point.
Yeah, I know.
Never mind. Anyway, look, that's enough for Rice. That's enough of Arsenal for now. Moving on to Tim Steaton, as we've been saying for weeks now. The guy was he's been recruited for a while. We now know why he didn't join until July 1st. It was because he was on gardening leave from Leverkusen. He left 3 months ago and he wasn't allowed to be announced until Monday. He's joined. I bet he had a lovely, really warm and cozy meeting with David Moyes on day one.
Yeah.
To talk about the strategy moving forwards, about how what players he's going to be bringing in to provide to David Moyes to do the second part of the job, because Tim Steaton's job is going to be to uncover the gems, potential, because that's why he's been brought in. What is he? The fucking, he's not the pearl necklace, is he? What is it? The what do they call him, Gary?
I don't know. But it's somebody who discovers rare diamonds.
He uncovers pearls, right? That's what they say to him. He goes out, he finds young players, you know, really with lots of potential.
Yeah.
But then it's down to, once he brings them in, it's then down to the coaching team and the manager and the team thereafter to basically give these players the game time they need, the mentoring they need to develop them and turn them into realise their potential. So he can only do one half of that job. He can only do one half of that job.
That'll work brilliantly with David Moyes because he's renowned for, you know, focusing and giving everybody in the squad his time and helping to develop the youngsters and bring them through and give them game time. He's often, you can see him putting his arm around people when they're not getting a game and saying, "Don't worry, son, you'll get some minutes soon." You know, he's a motivator, David Moyes. That much is clear, right?
Sorry, he's not the pearl necklace. He's what is he? He's the pearl diver. He's the pearl diver. That's the clam diver. That's Brady was banging in favour of bringing him in apparently when she heard his nickname. Yeah. So I mean, as we've seen already, since he isn't just starting this week. He will have started 3 months ago because these talks have been going on for that long. Apparently, they have. He wasn't recruited 3 months ago. He's only been recruited in the last sort of 2-3 weeks. But these talks have been happening for a while. This guy has come in with a massive portfolio. He has, and we have been making moves behind the scenes anyway. So we've been making moves for players that he's been recommending behind the scenes. Now, one of the players that we have been linked with, Alex Scott of Bristol City, is, believe it or not, one of his. You know, he's, to be fair, you haven't got to be a great director of football to know who that guy is. I think everyone on the planet knows who he is. I think Football Manager, the old franchise, they came out and they've said they predict that he will be the best player in the world in 5 years.
Wow.
That's what they've come out and said. You know, the people who make they're to be fair, their judgment of players is normally quite good because they go into detail.
Hang on. They've said Alex Scott is going to be the best
Scott. They've predicted it. They've predicted Alex Scott will be the best player in the world in 5 years. That's what they've predicted.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
hang on a minute. But that. So he's going to come to West Ham, and David Moyes is going to help him become the best player in the world.
Yes, that's right. That's right. But the other one, so you got Alex Scott, so that is a Tim Steedman one. So like I say, this guy's got his finger on the pulse, not just in the German league, but everywhere else. Don't forget Xabi Alonso. He dug Xabi Alonso out from Real Sociedad. Real Sociedad B, I think he was managing.
God.
You know, he was doing, and they had 1 point from 8 games or something that season at the start of the season. Leverkusen. They brought him in. He plucked him from fucking nowhere. They ended up finishing 6th. So playing really good football. So he doesn't mess around. And he will, in terms of, you know, we talk about succession planning a lot. Yeah. He will already know who Moyes' replacement will be if it fails, if it goes wrong. He'll have a list of managers in the back of his mind. He will have.
That part of his role, because he's not a director of football. He is a technical director. The technical director, as you can see in the, because we were all talking about what a director of football is, and a director of football is the one that owns the strategy and also the hiring.
It is the same thing, though, Gary. It's just a different name.
Yeah, but is it? You know, is he going to be listened to? That's my point.
Exactly. That's my concern.
So if he goes and because I think we have heard it from more than one place that. We thought a director of football reported. We thought a manager or a first team coach, as would be, reported it into the director of football or the technical director. We know that David Moyes is going to continue to report into David Sullivan, right?
And
Tim Steidman is also going to report into David Sullivan. We also know that David Sullivan and Karen Brady think that the sun shines out of David Moyes' backside. You know, he's untouchable. He's amazing, tactically superior. The guy knows everything. We also know that David Moyes last season decided, he told, this is not a rumor, this is something that happened, and that is he told the players that that he will go at the end of the year. Can you let's pull together, give it one last push, lads. At the end of the year, I'll be out of here. And apparently him going back on that has pissed a few players off, which is why we see so many players, It's kind of a borderline mutiny at the moment, and I don't think we can play that down. So there is a big mess to fix.
There is a big mess, and what will be interesting will be the fact that Tim Steedman is going to come in. Apparently, this guy, from what I've been reading, like I've never even heard the guy speak, but from what I've read, he's got a very big character. He's a likable man. He likes to be. He's approachable. He will, first and foremost, before he realises what problems he's got to fix at West Ham, he's going to have to go and ascertain what sort of state things are in now. The first team squad, that's got to be a problem number one. Well, who's staying? What are the problems that we've got here? So he's probably gonna talk to them all. So God knows what feel for the club and David Moyes is going to get once he's done that. But look, as we know, it is going to be interesting. We're not going to go too deep into this, by the way, because we are going to give this story room to breathe. Not the story. We're going to give Tim Steedman room to breathe. Yeah, we've had some very good information from someone about the structure of it. It was basically, what Gary just said. I thought that Tim Steedman was being brought in as a director of football to sit underneath Sullivan for David Moyes to report into. However, as we understand it, David Moyes wouldn't tolerate that. So basically, what we've got is a situation whereby you've got Tim Steedman and David Moyes. Neither one of them is senior over the other at the moment in this current situation. They both report into Sullivan. They don't, they've got to work with each other, but they both report into Sullivan. Steedman is going to be responsible for player recruitment, and he's going to basically, I don't know what's happening to Newman because Newman's still there at the moment, but as we understand it, Sullivan hates Newman. He thinks he's shit. So I don't know that Newman is going to remain in place, even though I think Newman didn't do really too bad a job last year.
He didn't.
No, I think he done all right. But so Steedman is going to be reporting into David Sullivan and talking to David Moyes. He's going to be responsible for recruitment. But this is the interesting one. The only way that David Moyes would agree to this would be if he had a veto over transfers. So even if he's not involved in them, David Moyes has final say, and he can say, "No, don't want that player. Don't want that one."
But then that totally eradicates the point of a director of football. This is my point. We discussed this on WhatsApp during the week. It is the most, let's be honest, it's the most ridiculous time to bring in a director. We've been crying out for a director of football for ages, right?
Yeah,
but you decide to bring a director of football in when the manager, who's already technically skating off in ice, i.e. the league form, who's got a year left on his contract. So are you bringing in players now that you're bringing in players for Moyes, or you're bringing in players for the future, knowing that if you bring in players for the future, Moyes isn't going to use them because they're not going to fit in the way he wants to play. I
think he's going to bring players in for the future, and then I think what will happen.
Moyes, what are they going to? Then you're going to bring. Yeah, but you're going to bring players in for the future. If Moyes is there 6 months, they're going to be sitting around doing fuck all for 6 months, and then become unhappy.
You can't go and spend the Declan Rice money on players that suit David Moyes for 1 year.
I know.
But if Moyes has got the veto, you're not going to sign players that are going to be, that are targeting after this year, are you?
Yes,
you're going to be. Moyes will only sign off people that he wants to bring in for this season. This is all a little bit too.
It's fucking. It's honestly, it's going to be interesting because this is going to go wrong. From what we've been told, as we know. David Sullivan is an egomaniac. We all know that. Well, his ego is now his ego is now twice the fucking size because David
thinks he won the cup.
He won the cup. He won us the cup.
Yeah.
That's why he's been aboard the fucking titty bouncing express out in the ocean. He's been out there living the high life. And you've got David Moyes, who now his ego is now. He was already a fucking narcissist, but he's brought the cup. He's going to be hard work. And then you've got Tim Steedman. Tim Steedman left. He weren't pushed. Tim Steedman left Leverkusen because he wanted more power. This is a man that wanted more power. And that's right. A director of football should want power over everything. Yes. But that means you've got 3 guys here that want power. They want they're going to want to have a say. How the fuck is that going to work? Honestly,
something's going to give. Something's going to give, right? But someone is going to go. Whether that is Moyes or Steedman, one of them is going to go. It might not happen in the first couple of weeks of the season, but you cannot imagine this being a happy camp at all. I mean, going back to what I said earlier, very, very unhappy squad of senior professionals. Now, what we're going to do with those senior professionals. All right, some of them can be moved on, like a Suchek, who we understand needs more money.
Gary, just respond to Tim. Explain to him we're not making this up. Sorry, gents, but we're Steve. Right, people are complaining about the way we're saying his name. Look, Steedman, Steeton, whatever his fucking name is, we all know we're talking about. Yeah, Steedman, Stevie, and the demand for him. This is what we were saying. There is no way he would have joined with a Moyes veto in place. Sorry, but not having that. That's exactly the conversation I had on the phone. I was like, no fucking way.
That's
I'm assured that this is the case.
No, that is exactly right. You are right, Tim. There's no way he would have accepted the role if under those conditions. But the fact is, he's signed a contract, and they are now the conditions. Apparently, Moyes was, felt undermined that a director of football or a technical director was bringing in above him, which is why he, threw a wobbly, because he's now a European Cup winner. After 1,000 games, he's managed 1,000+ games. He's managed to land his own trophy. So that basically tells everybody what a fantastic coach he is. He's now, top of the world, most sought after bloke, and feels untouchable. And he don't deserve to be reporting to no director of football, according to him. So because of that, I think Sullivan just, he kept the reporting lines as they are. So that's the first surprise. The second surprise is he's got the veto. There's no way that should have happened. How could that happen, right? No. Without losing my temper, right? Exactly what John said. This is supposed to be Moyes' last season, right? Please God, let it be Moyes' last season. Let it be his last half of season or something like that. Because the less we have to watch,
quicker than that.
The less we have to watch his football, the better. But the fact is, this could all go tits up because of Moyes, right? He could play like a bolshy bastard. Tim Steeton could go out and find players, bring them to David Moyes. He go, no, because you know how long he likes to take over signing a player, right? It could be ages. Now you could say that
it's not his responsibility anymore, though.
Well, yeah, but he moved last summer with Rob Newman, because he helped bring Rob Newman in. That was his friend, right? Yeah. So they managed to get through quite a lot of signings quite quickly in the scheme of things, right? But now it's basically Tim Steeman goes and does all the work, identifies the players, brings them to David Moyes. What's he then got to do? What's David Moyes going to do? Go and watch the player, make sure that Tim knows what he's talking about.
I know
before he signs him off. What's he got to watch him 4 times, 5 times?
But look, playing devil's advocate, right? I wanted David Moyes gone completely, but now this guy's in. I don't know that if I was Tim Steedman or Steeton, whoever the fuck his name is,
just call him Tim. If everyone's going to start, just call him Tim. Call him Dave. These donuts in the chat want to start picking up pronunciations. Jesus Christ!
Yeah, but playing devil's advocate, if I was Tim coming into this environment, we're a big club. We're bigger than Leverkusen. He's coming in. It's a massive undertaking what he's got to do. I think I would probably be a little bit like, do you know what? Don't change anything yet. Let me come in and have a look and see what's going on. Let me have a look and see what the problems are, and then we'll fix things. I think that would be my attitude. Don't change too much too soon, because I'm coming in. You don't want a new manager, a new coaching staff. Let me come in, assess the situation, and then we can fix things as we go. Let's get the strategy in place. Let's do this. If we can't get the manager on board, if we can't get the coaching staff to develop, if they haven't got the ability to develop players, we'll change them. We'll do that. But let's just, baby steps. That might be even his preference. We don't know.
Yeah, the only way this doesn't go tits up is if Tim Steeman is actually a Steeton.
It's not pronounced Tim. Someone said.
If he's,
hang on a minute. If Black Country Hammers trying to tell us how to pronounce fucking things.
I'm saying if Tim Steeton is a very charming individual and he knows how to win people over, and his communication skills are second to none, and he can perhaps bring David Moyes on board to what he's saying, and they can start working together quite well for the last year of David Moyes' contract. But that is a stretch, isn't it? That's a stretch, because we know already David Moyes is an old dog that doesn't like new tricks. He hates them.
Yeah, but Gary, that's us saying that David Moyes will accept just managing. If David Moyes is staying here for a year, he's not. He's staying here because he's going to want to win himself a contract to stay here for longer. He's not going to be happy just with this one season.
So you're suggesting he's going to try and change?
I don't think he's going to try and change. I don't think he will. I think he's going to try and overthrow. I think he's that much of a narcissist. It's going to be about making him look good and Tim look bad.
Absolutely.
I think
That's
what I feel. He gets
Yeah.
the dynamic of Sullivan. Sullivan is that thick in terms of a leader, and I think that's how black and white he looks at things. I think he'll just go. He'll get to Christmas. Well, if Tim Steaton would have brought all of these players in, they will have been shit because they're not being played. They're not being. We've got a winger being played at right back. And Moyes will go to Sullivan. Sullivan will be complaining, saying, "Well, why aren't none of these signings working?" Director of football brought in shit players, isn't he?
Yeah,
they're not ready.
And
they're not
he'll
ready.
go straight under the bus with Rob Newman, won't he?
Yeah.
Because you look at what's happening at the moment. I mean, those players that were signed last summer, like you said, are actually pretty good. But the one that really bothers me out of all of this is a player I don't think has had a chance, and that's Scamacca. And Scamacca now apparently, if rumours are to be believed, Spurs are interested in him. But not only Spurs, AC Milan. Listen, AC Milan have been interested in him. They're no mugs. They were semi-finalists in the Champions League, AC Milan, right? Juventus are interested in him. Roma are interested in him. All the big Italian boys want him, but apparently Scamacca wants to do well in this country. He doesn't want to run off back to Italy because he'll feel like a failure.
Maybe one of Tim's roles would be to get in the ear of Scamacca. No?
Yes.
Yeah, but what's he going to say? What's he going to say? Gianluca, you need to play like Antonio.
No. If Nick's right, and Moyes is going to look to a contract beyond this season, and Moyes is going to try and change his style, which he tried last season but couldn't do, and reverted back to type. Remember? If he says if Steedman goes to him and says, "Look, Gianluca, mate, Moyes is going to give it a proper chance, and if not, don't worry, we've got this next manager lined up for as and when Moyes gets the sack." It's the only way forward. There's absolutely no point in letting Scamacca go, in my opinion, because it's just another fucking waste of time. And look, we're 5 weeks away from the start of the season. 5 weeks, just over 5 weeks away from the start of the season. And again, we're starting from 50 yards behind everyone else, if not further.
I know.
It's just a joke. Mate, I genuinely think either Steedman will last 6 months, or Moyes will only last 3 months. One or the other.
I'm going to be positive. Now, look, this is my belief, right? Okay, and this is bearing in mind, where we got the information from, and this, that, the other. It's a Sullivan narrative, right? So it's always going to be Sullivan centric. Sullivan's the big I am. However, I'm sticking to this, and there's quite a few channels that are running with this now, and there's articles that are running the same story as well. I don't believe that Sullivan has placed Tim Steaton. I do believe that the club will be sold. I think it was due to be sold this summer. I think Gold's shares being held in probate has thrown the cat amongst the pigeons. And I do believe that the potential new owners, whether or not they're in place, they're saying, well, look, 100 million for Declan Rice is a big chunk of the West Ham. That's an eighth of what you're worth.
Yeah. We
want to make sure that that's spent money. And I wouldn't be surprised for me that this guy was positioned within West Ham to oversee things. That's personally what I think. And I think that's the only way that you could have got Tim Steaton in here, because there is no way that Tim would have accepted. I know, but there is no way, John. There is no way that Tim, as that guy said earlier on, would have accepted coming in here with his CV under these terms and conditions that we're being told that he's got to work by. I don't believe
makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. What you just said, which is unusual for you. That makes a lot of sense. That would actually.
You disagree with me?
No. I didn't hear it last week. You didn't explain it as well last week, because that would make
you
absolutely
shouting a lot last week, Nick.
It would make absolutely perfect sense that you put someone in, wouldn't you? You'd put someone in to oversee what's happening for that period, for that sort of transition period. You got to make sure the club don't fall out of the league. You've got to get to grips with all the players and make sure the players know that there is a future there. If that comment from Irons is true about Scamacca is going to stay, perhaps that's a good sign, because Steiten started on yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah. Like I said, the information that I got from a different source, I spoke to you guys about this yesterday, and this really shocked me, and this was about Scamacca, because I thought he wanted to go. He wanted to go back.
Me too.
As Gary said, he can't stand David Moyes. He doesn't like him at all. Doesn't think that his football is any good for him in any way. He's got no faith in him, but he does like the club. He wanted to stay. Apparently, he was a very popular character in the camp as well.
Yeah.
And he would see it personally as a failure if he fails in the Premier League, but he don't think he can succeed under David Moyes. So these loans that when he was going back to Italy, they were almost kind of I don't know, maybe him trying to sort out loans himself so that he can just go and fucking go and play well for a year, but then come back and get another chance in the Premier League.
Yeah,
I just, if I'm honest with you, I just can't get my head around the idea. Genuinely, get my head around the idea when you're bringing in a director of football, which is a totally fresh start for West Ham United, but you're allowing the same manager to continue, who is, I cannot get the point of it. I cannot get the point of that. I can't get the point of it because you're almost 2 steps forward, 3 steps back scenario. It's a great appointment if it works, and he's got good credentials. Of course he has. But you're bringing him alongside Moyes, and this is the point. It's like fucking chalk and cheese. And this is my concern. It's an absolute pointless thing to do if come October, November, Moyes is given the old sack.
Yeah,
no?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. No, look, like I just said to you, I think the only thing it could be, it might be under the preference of even this guy, Tim. It could be, you don't know. He might be like, look, don't change anything yet.
No, he wouldn't do that.
No, because it's a big upheaval, isn't it? Like if you come into somewhere new, wouldn't you, Gary? Wouldn't you just want to be brought in and then have a little look?
No.
Oh yeah. You don't make decisions. You don't make decisions off the cuff. Of course you don't. But
no.
There are signals that are coming out though. You know, things like Antonio, who we know has wanted to move since last January. He's been angling for a move since last January, right?
Moyes wants to keep him.
Yeah, Moyes wants to keep him. Well,
okay.
Yeah, so again, but if he's going to keep Antonio, then that means Antonio is going to be starting games, which means Scamacca ain't going to get a look in again.
Go on, John.
Theoretically, the director of football, Tim Steedman's role, director of football, is basically a scout, right? He's a top scout, yeah? He's a scout in essence, right?
He's more than that. He's done the head scout role. He's come through. He's a director of operations now.
He's still spotting players. He's still spotting players.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, which is all intents and purposes a scout, right? But we know, because we've had conversations this week, that David Sullivan, who's now employed the director of football, is adamant that we should go out and get James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah.
So hang on a minute. So not only are you're bringing in a director of football, but you're already telling him, actually, I want that bloke. So straight away you're undermining him.
You're right.
This is where David Sullivan he had a season out of getting involved in transfers, or 2 seasons out. That's why he hates Rob Newman, because he kept him out of the transfers and done all the business without him getting involved. Now having Tim Steedman reporting directly to Sullivan means Sullivan can get back involved again, right?
But look. At the end of the day, all of these players that come in are going to be associated with Tim Steedman. So I do think, look, I think we're taking this. I'm gonna go based on my theory. So yes, I think Sullivan, because he's an egomaniac, will be telling everyone else that he's still in control and it's his ball and no one else can play with it. But I do believe that this guy has been placed. That's what I think. And if he has been placed in there, then he's not just going to be reporting to Sullivan. He's going to be reporting to effectively the new owners and stuff like that as well. He's going to be in charge. And that's what I believe. And look, we might have a case where, Moyes has thrown his toys out the pram and he still wants a direct link in with Sullivan. That's fine. That can still happen. But that was something that we was told as well, as John said there, that James.
Sorry, I didn't know I was meant to say it. Sorry.
No. James Ward-Prowse is David Sullivan wants James Ward-Prowse. He thinks he'd be the ideal fit.
Don't get me wrong. I'd like to get James Ward-Prowse. I just think 50 million price tag is ridiculous.
It's well overpriced.
It's
35 tops.
But the point is, John, you're bringing in an absolute expert in the field of football and recruitment. Your opinion should now no longer mean fuck all. Just let him do his job. If you're Sullivan, it should mean nothing. Let him do his job.
But Sullivan will not let anyone do their job properly, will he?
No.
He wants control, whether you like it or not. He wants to be involved in everything. It's an absolute power struggle. It's going to be a freeway power struggle, which is not good for the club. I'm sorry, it won't work.
It's not good for the club. And just to give you some other information as well. So, as we know, look, Tim Steedman's going to come in. A big part of the thing here is going to be keeping the squad together because we've lost Rice. We can't afford to lose many more. If we do have issues like we know that we have within the current senior squad, where there are players there that are unhappy. Now, look, we've already heard from other channels that there is a common agent who looks after Souček, Bowen and Paqueta. right? 3 of them. We know that Paqueta is as asked to. He's not the type of player that's going to demand a move. But look, at the end of the day, the guy doesn't want to play for a team that only has 30% possession. He loves football. He loves having the ball at his feet. So I think he's either going to want some assurances that things are going to change, or as a new manager coming in, or he's basically said that if somebody else comes in, there's an article in L'Equipe to say that PSG are looking at Paqueta and they're looking at an £80 million deal. If they was to bid 80 million, we'd probably sell him. The other one is Souček. Now, Souček is not happy, but it's more money based with Souček, which was quite weird. Souček's on 80 grand a week, but he wants 100 grand a week. We won't give him that. And we've been trying to farm him out to other clubs for the last 2-3 windows, so I've been told. But the stipulations are the same. He wants 100 grand a week, and that's a sticking point. That's why we've not been able to get rid of him. So it's going to be the same this season. We're going to try and get rid of him. We're not giving him 100 grand a week, so that's not going to happen. His contract is expiring.
But sorry to interrupt you. But the Souček thing there, that is indicative of modern day Premier League football. Bang average Premier League players are on 80, 90 grand a week.
I know. It's ridiculous. The other one, this is the big one. The big one. Jared Bowen. Right, this is one player that I thought we was going to have no issues with. Me personally, I thought Jared Bowen, Danny Dyer, he's really happy. I didn't think there'd be any issues there at all. He's been offered a contract. He's not signed it. He's not signed it. He's not happy. No. But we found
they're all on holiday, Nick. They ain't come back yet. They're all on holiday,
John. I don't know. Let me finish the story.
Go on then.
But basically the rumor. It ain't a rumor. The story is that he was moaning all last year about David Moyes and the style of football. Apparently Bowen was. See, I would never have had Bowen down as that sort of person, but he didn't like the style. He thought even though he's flourished in it, so to speak, he thinks he would do better in a possession-based team. He thinks that the style of football is very intense on him because he's up and down the wings all the time. He's not happy with it. And from what I've been told about Jared Bowen's contract, he's got 2 years left, no Declan Rice extension. There's no unilateral agreement in Jared Bowen's deal. He's got 2 years left at West Ham.
So he's got to sign a deal now. Otherwise, next summer he can start talking to other clubs.
Yeah.
But I don't know why you're surprised that Bowen wouldn't be happy with the style of play. Do you think there's one player in that squad that was happy with the style of play?
Yeah, but the story is, John. So in that case, do you think he's going to sign a deal?
I think he will. Yeah, I think he'll stay. I think he'll stay. I do think he'll stay.
Yeah, yes. I mean that's what I would hope with Bowen.
I just think look, whether you're playing in that system regularly or not, you are not going to enjoy that system. If playing the game is fucking dull and boring. Can you imagine the training, the day-to-day training? They're boring.
No. Yeah, traffic cones. And there's one more bit of player news I'm going to give you before we move on to other things, right? And that is there is a new player that we signed in the summer that has got a release clause. It was a stipulation of him joining. And that is Naif Aguirre. It's got a £60 million release clause written into his contract. He refused to sign unless he got that clause put in there. So that's quite interesting. I mean, do you think we're safe from any bids from Aguirre? Do you think he's worth 60 million? Can you see anyone else coming in for that sort of money?
Not yet.
What did we pay for him? 35, 30?
About 35, yeah. Yeah, it's about 35.
He's not worth 60 yet.
If we got a bid of 60, you'd take it.
A lot of agents put release clauses in contracts.
No, apparently Sullivan historically don't do it. He don't like it.
Well, yeah, but if they were desperate to get him and he was a big signing at the time, then they might have to just give in the end. Look, there's obvious unhappy players at the club. We know who they really are. They're all unhappy with style and pragmatism, whatever you want to call it. But there's players that want out, and there's players that are just unhappy. And I'd say there's probably 4 or 5 players that want to go.
Yeah, I think so. Well, look, I think hand on heart, look through the first team squad. Tell me what players you think would choose to stay at West Ham if there wasn't a better offer on the table elsewhere. What players do you think would choose to stay at West Ham?
That's a silly question because that applies. You could ask. Things could be going brilliantly at West Ham, and they could love the football.
I'm not saying Gary. Gary. But what I'm trying to say is, what players do you think are happy in the current situation?
Well, not many. I think we know the ones that are unhappy. We know the ones that are unhappy. You've said it already. Souček because of money. Paqueta because of the style of football. Ings
Fornals is
because
always
of the
trying.
style of football. Fornals gets no games. Antonio because he wants his last big payday. Bowen because he wants a new contract, probably a bigger new contract. Who else?
But which of those would want to actually go, Gal? I don't think Paqueta would want to leave already.
I think Paqueta will be fine with us staying for at least another season and growing his reputation even further. Ings probably wants out, I would say, but then again, he's on a decent payday already. Fornals, I would say, if he got assurances of getting some game time, I think he'd stay. I don't think there's a disloyal bone in Fornals' body. I think he loves the club. Antonio, I think, wants out and has wanted out for some time. I think he's got personal issues. Well, I know he's got personal issues. He needs money. Yeah, he needs money to resolve those personal issues. So no fault of well, it is his own fault. He's kind of created the problem, but now he's got to get himself out of it. So he needs a big payday. He definitely needs a big payday. Bowen, I would expect him to sign. I wouldn't expect him to leave. Look, that's important. You know, your wife to be, your in-laws, and everything else. And after all, he's done bloody well. Look at where he was when he joined us, playing for Hull. Came to us. He's come on leaps and bounds. He's played for England. He's won a European trophy. I know you might not like the football, but that's not a reason when the manager's in his last year of his contract for you to not sign a deal, is it?
What do we think about? Obviously, we've been linked with Harvey Barnes over the last few days. It's grown and grown, but
I wouldn't pay 40 million.
No, but this is what the Leicester. I saw this on the Leicester fan page where they said that Leicester want 40. I'm not being funny.
Madison went for 40. He's twice the player.
Yeah. I thought that, and I
don't know. I like Barnes.
I thought 25.
Gary, there is no comparison between Madison and Barnes.
No. I thought 25 to 30 was about right personally for Harvey Barnes because he's 23, 24. But I didn't know he scored 13 league goals last season, which surprised me.
He's a good player. He's a good winger. But again, that's playing in. I know they got relegated, but the way that Brendan Rodgers sets his team up is to play progressive on the ball, playing forward, or loads of bodies attacking en masse. Let's see how good he'd be in a fucking David Moyes setup where he's up against, isolated, having to attack from fullback, covering Cresswell, because that's what his job will be.
Yeah, I don't know. I think another player is Ben Rama. What's going to happen to Ben Rama? He can't play in the same position on the left, surely, can he? Surely he'll get to play some time in the middle in a number 10 role, because that's how it could work, isn't it? We could move Barnes out to the left. We could bring Ben Rama inside, and so then you'd have Ben Rama and Fornals rotating in that number 10 position. Both of them can play it. You'd also have cover out left for Harvey Barnes. You wouldn't have cover out right for Bowen, but I think it would be filling a missing piece because Barnes is a natural left winger. Fornals and Ben Rama are not.
But can I go counter to this now, because this is obviously what we've been looking at is 40 million for Harvey Barnes is a big chunk of our money. Bearing in mind, if rumours are to be believed, we all thought that we was going to have our own transfer pot on top of this money that we make from players. We've been more or less assured. No, but we've been more or less assured that is not the case. The only money we've got to spend this season is from player sales. Therefore, say we do get 35 million for Scamacca, that means we've got 130 million to spend. That's what we've got. 40 million on Barnes. We need to get someone else in. They're talking about Alvarez in the centre or Onana. Then you're upset that they're going to be 40, 50 million pound players. 40 million on Harvey Barnes. We're going to need a fucking replacement for Scamacca if we sell it.
But Nick, mate, this is the problem. People know we've got the Rice money now. People know what we got for Rice. So they will always add.
But this is where I'm coming to. Now, we all heard David Moyes' great podcast that he did, where he came on and he said that in that January transfer window where we needed to invest desperately to push on that year where we probably could have got top 4 if we'd have given it a little bit of a push in that January window. He said that he had the opportunity and was recommended. This was by Rob Newman, who came from Man City, to sign Alvarez in front of City. We could have got him for 15 million. He looked at him, said, "Nah, we've got Antonio," right? So he's obviously accepted that was a big mistake. Right, now what we've got here, so we're talking about Harvey Barnes for 40 million. There is another one. Apparently, the player that's been put forward, he's already been reported elsewhere, but I've looked into this as well, is a guy called Mateus Franca of Flamengo. 19-year-old Brazilian. This kid, I'm not being funny, just go and have a look at him. He is fucking electric. He's electric.
Well,
He'll be cheaper. He can play anywhere across the front line. He's quite diminutive, but he's tough. He's absolutely rapid. Similar to Paqueta. Do you know Paqueta likes it up him? He likes players to sort of get. No, do you know what I mean? He likes players to sort of get into him so he can skip around them. He invites the challenges on, John, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And then he sort of nutmegs him and leaves him in his wake. This is what this kid does. He also likes to tackle as well. He is mustard. No, honestly, he is a kid. He's 19. And
it just reminds me of someone.
I know. Sorry about that.
I would rather rather we went searching for players in that kind of price range than to blow 40 million on Harvey Barnes.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, what is David Moyes going to do though? Because obviously we're looking at the obvious. Harvey Barnes, 40 million. Tim Steaton comes in, the Pearl Diver, whatever his fucking name is, whatever his nickname is, says no. Harvey Barnes, great player, whatever else. But look, 19 years old.
Yeah.
This kid, buy him for 20 million. In 2 years, 3 years' time, he's going to be worth 80.
I think. Look, there are priorities, right? Priority number one is the Rice replacement, right?
Yep.
That's got to be priority number one, and that, from what I can see, Onana would be a suitable replacement. Alvarez would be a suitable replacement as well, right? One of those two, and they're not going to be cheap. We're going to pay through the nose for Onana, but to be honest, Rice is not twice the player that Onana is. So the fact that you can get him for half of the Rice money for like 50 million, that's actually quite a steal from what I saw. Very good player.
Again, I would not sanction that fucking deal if I was Sullivan, because the only reason that deal fell through, we could have got him for 35 million. And the reason we didn't get Onana was because David Moyes refused to give him a first team wage.
Yeah.
So we lost him. So what this means is that now, just a year later, we'd have to go back and pay 20 million more for him and probably pay him more in wages. I wouldn't even sanction that fucking deal now. I'd say, no, Moyes, you've missed out on your fucking chance, you dick. We could have got him in for 20 million cheaper and on less wages.
While you're right, a player is a player. He's a good player now. He's now proven in the Premier League. He wasn't proven in the Premier League before we bought him last time. He did take to it like a duck to water. Playing in a team that were in a relegation battle all season.
Why does Sean Dyche want to sell him? He weren't even getting in Dyche's team towards the end.
I don't know. Well, if he wasn't getting in the team, then we offer less for him.
Where's that come from?
Well, I'm just saying that he was their star performer around the time that we played them at the London Stadium, and I watched him at the London Stadium, and I thought he was very, very good.
I think he's all right. He's all right. For me, 50 million, I'd rather go for Alvarez of Ajax, personally.
Yeah, I would too. I would too.
The only thing I say, Nick, if we've got no transfer money apart from what we get in, i.e.,
what we've been told. I still can't believe it. I can't believe it, but
I get that. But we need more than one or two players, no? So I don't think we're going to be shopping in £50 million markets.
No, I don't think we are. I think we're going to get. Look, Souček.
I reckon we'll see one.
Get a move.
I think we'll see one coming.
Who are we going to be able to sell? Let's cover that first. Because I think Souček will go. I don't think someone said on here that he's on 60 grand a week, not 80 grand a week. So that's more realistic. But apparently he wants a big pay rise. He wants 100. Well, he ain't going to get that from us, and he ain't going to get it from anyone else. But he might get a pay rise, because he is seen as a good midfield stopper, not necessarily more suited to Europe, I would say, and the pace of the European football than our football, right? He's a deer in the headlights. So get rid of him. I reckon you get a decent price for Souček. He's still got a good reputation. You get 20 million for him, right? I reckon Paqueta stays, Ings goes, we'll get bugger all for him, but we will get 125k a week off the wage bill. So you got to focus on the and that's over a year. What's that over a year? I don't know.
I know.
So he goes to one of the promoted teams, maybe he'd get a move to them. Fornals, I think he's only got a couple of years left on his contract. If we don't get a fee for him now, we're going to lose out. I think you get a good money for Fornals.
Yeah, no, but I think we'll get decent money for Fornals. I don't really want to sell him, but then again, if he's not going to be used, I don't want to. He deserves to play. He deserves. You want
to see him progress, right? Yeah. But he's a £20 million player. Thank you, Alec. He's a £20 million player all day long. Antonio, you'd get 10 million for the next few, couple of years. It'd serve a couple of years somewhere and bang in some goals and arrest some defenders.
I'm going to drop something on. I'm going to drop something on John. Go on.
It's a Leicester fan here. Look, Chester Leicester. Looks like Barnes is going to West Ham. Look after the lad. He's a player.
Oh, look. If he is coming,
I like him.
He's great.
I like him, mate. Yeah.
What I'm saying is, I would pay 40 million for him. But when you're looking at the work that we've got to do, and we've only got 100 million. That's a massive chunk of our budget. That's all I'm trying to say.
What are you dropping on me?
All right, so look.
Okay, one minute. I want to drop something on John because there is something we ain't spoken about. We are an hour in, and there is some sad news at West Ham, and that is a legend has left, and he is a legend in my heart, and that's Manuel Lanzini. He's officially gone. John, come on, tell us a little bit about Manu and his best moments. He's a favourite of all of ours, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, there is an element of sadness for me in terms of what could have been. I do think that the last 18 months, I think he was very, very much underused. And, you know, he was very much a player for us who, you know, in that season when he came in and played alongside Noble and Payet, he was a key part of that. He was fantastic at picking the lock. He scored some wonder goals. You know, some of his goals will never be forgotten.
Important goals.
He scored some important goals, you know, and he just, for me, he just lit up the room at times, you know. He was just exceptional. But there is such an element of regret about that injury, which I do think curtailed him massively. But even after the injury, he still had some exceptionally brilliant moments. You know, the goal against Palace when he flicked it up from right foot to left foot, or the other way around. You know, the 3-3 draw with Spurs. I just feel that he'd done so much and we loved him so much, and yet it was what could have been even more, you know. So
do we have one player in the last 20 years that have scored better goals than him? Like the amount of great goals that he scored. Can you think of a player that has?
Probably Payet and Di Canio, probably only those, but
yeah, there's a lot of them, John. Some of the goals.
No, I know. But then, for what I'm saying is the sort of goals that he scored were on a par with the sort of goals that Payet scored, the sort of goals that Di Canio scored. Important, technically brilliant, and some fucking absolute welders. So, yeah, I mean, look, you're never going to forget what he did, but it's just I felt like it petered out a little bit towards the end. Not through any fault of his own, but because Moyes just literally. You know, even when he warmed up for West Ham, he had his socks right down. He knew he weren't coming on.
I think it's sad because you know something. How much of a better job could he have done for us last season than Souček in that first team?
Yeah, massively. But
you know, if you'd have just had him in that team, it's ridiculous, really. And apparently, and I didn't even put 2 and 2 together. This all correlates with apparently Lanzini's missus putting a tweet out or something like that, which was quite critical of Moyes. And apparently, ever since then, he's been out of favour.
Are you saying that Moyes is petty and vengeful? What are you saying? It's awful. Right. It's bloody awful. I mean, look, he's been fantastic. He's given us so many wonderful moments, and I'll tell you, you know, we were at Palace. John was in the cheap seats. We were in a nice box, so we had a prime view of that Lanzini goal where he played it from one foot to the other. Fantastic. Yeah, but the one that I know there's some great other ones as well, but the Spurs game when we're all in lockdown, I was sitting here in my shed watching it on Zoom with other people, and honestly, that was the highlight of lockdown. That goal, that set us all alight. We're dancing on Zoom, you know. It's just you couldn't script it better, could you? Last kick of the game.
It was beautiful, and I don't think he could have struck that any different. He had the best technique. But what I will say is, I think with Lanzini, and he is a player. He's been 8 years. He's been here, Manu. You know, 8 years, 2 years short of a fucking 10. And I can never think what they're called. What do you get when you do 10 years?
Testimonial.
A testimonial. 2 years shy of a testimonial. Even though apparently we ain't doing testimonials anymore because Sullivan has to pay for the pitch because it ain't part of our contract. It'd be over Anthony Marshall. But I do think, look, he would have been one of the best. I think if he hadn't got that injury, he probably wouldn't have been at West Ham for long anyway. I think there was talk of Liverpool coming in for him and all that sort of thing. There is that element of it. Yeah. He was outstanding. But to think he was still one of the most talented players in our team, and for him to not get hardly any minutes last year is
it was shocking.
It's a mark of the man that David Moyes is.
Leonardo has just picked up on the small dig aimed at me from Gary in regards to the Palace and me being in the cheap seats. Leonardo, what you fail to understand is Leonardo. Sorry, no, stop laughing. What you fail to understand, Leonardo, I was with the fans. Yeah, Nick and Gary were up with the corporate wankers. That's all I'm going to say.
We was.
Prawn sandwich. We had a prawn sandwich each, didn't we, Nick?
I will say, right, do you know, like when you do corporate at some of these stadiums, I will just say Palace is probably one of the best.
Hang on. That is so. When you do corporate, how many corporate do you do, mate?
We've done quite a few of them. But when you do corporate,
I've done loads, and it was good.
But at Palace, you are literally right on top of the pitch, aren't you?
I've never seen a view like it. Honestly, we were literally, it's suspended. The boxes are suspended, kind of over the goal line. So you look down and you can see you're on top of the goal. Literally,
brilliant.
Amazing.
It is good. I'm sure you had a great view, John. You know, over down there. It was,
mate, I had a great view because I was bouncing around with the other proper real West Ham fans, not the plastics like you lot wearing. You was wearing shirts and ties. I weren't. Yeah, remember that?
Yes.
Hey, listen, I was looking through the list of players of who we might sell, and I think these are the ones I think we might sell. Souček, Ings, giveaway, obviously. Fornals, Antonio. The only other one I think we might sell, the other two I think we might sell, might be Johnson, and I think we might let Ben Rama go, but I hope not. So I'm not going to include him, right? So if you look at everybody except for Johnson there, add it to the 100 million, that's 166 million or thereabouts for what I'm saying. We could sign a 200 million's worth of players for that when you consider you don't pay everything up front, right? It's done over multiple years, as Arsenal are trying to do with us, right? So it ain't like, you know, Harvey Barnes is costing 40 million, so therefore we've only got 60 million of the Rice money left. No, it would be 20 million up front plus 10 million a year for the next couple of years or something like that, right? Vlasic is coming back as well. God, Vlasic.
But we'll be. I think we'll be out to sell him on, just not to anywhere in fucking Italy because it don't sound like they got any money.
They got no money. That's why it's always loan, mate. They got. You've seen. That's why Inter Milan are trying to keep hold of Lukaku. They're literally begging to get. I think they just want Chelsea to give them to them for free because. Who's
a Spanish team that have gone basically selling all their players? It's
Sevilla. Sevilla have won God knows how many Europa Leagues, and they got to, didn't they win it again this year? I mean, they won it about 5 times. Very successful Spanish team. They've put their entire playing staff up for sale because they're 90 million in debt.
Yeah, they've got loads of debt. We could go and find a few players there.
I'm underwhelmed. I'm underwhelmed.
Well, the thing is about Max Aarons. He's been on the scene for 4, 5, 6 years, maybe.
He's only 23.
He ain't done it.
Yeah, but he's been around a long time already. We've been linked with him before, haven't we?
Yeah.
I'm not that. I think he'd be all right. Look, it'd be a decent. I think there's better. Is what I'm trying to say.
Look, he's been around a long time though.
Yeah.
So look, we've all agreed now that we'll have a decent budget. It won't just be the 100 million. It will be payments over several years. So let's say 150 million, and just cut out the middleman, 150 million, right, in fees. We've got to sign probably a striker. We've got to sign the Rice replacement. We need a left winger. What else do we need?
I have been told that David Moyes, and this isn't a piss take. This is one thing that I forgot to tell you because there was so much shit that I was getting thrown at me. This one is apparently David Moyes. Virgil has nits. Will Doyle said. Is it? He says you got nits because you keep scratching your head.
It's just a fucking habit. What's wrong with you people? I can't eat crisps. I can't scratch my head.
He's scratching his head because he ain't eating crisps.
It's like having my missus in the chat. Piss off, for fuck's sake.
I've lost my train of thought now. What was I saying?
I don't know.
One more thing you didn't tell us. There was so much.
Oh yeah, no. Apparently, David Moyes is convinced, and that's he thought this apparently when he signed him, and this is going to be his plan next year. Is going to be getting Cornet as our central striker. He thinks that he can be our central striker. Apparently.
Well, look, I wouldn't object to him trying to convert. I wouldn't object to him trying to convert Cornet into a striker. But if that's the plan, Antonio number 1 and Cornet as a backup, and then try to ditch Scamacca, that ain't a plan to me. That is crap. Right.
However, there has been some news which might help Cornet. I don't know whether you've seen it. Arsene Wenger is apparently who works for the UEFA or whatever else. The offside rule is changing again next season. And apparently the whole of your body needs to be offside.
Really?
The whole of your body?
No.
That's from what I read earlier on. The whole of your
You're
body. needs to be
joking.
offside. Yeah, so
Really?
you need daylight. You need daylight between you
Hang
and
on,
the
it's reverting back to how it used to be.
Yeah, it used to be that, didn't it? It
Yeah,
used to be daylight. Yeah.
There needs to be daylight. Yeah,
What is the fucking point of
there'll
this?
still be lines. There'll still be lines, but it needs.
Hang on a minute. You don't need lines if there's daylight, do you?
No, you just need to look for daylight. You need to actually
yeah.
just look for daylight. Yeah.
Fucking
Yeah.
hell,
I
mate.
know.
This is getting out of control.
Is that true?
I read it earlier on Facebook. So it
Arsene
might
Wenger-
not be. I read the article.
Arsene
It's
Wenger
come
just
from
makes
Wenger.
things up to keep
know,
his
yeah,
job, I tell
yeah.
you. Fucking hell. Fucking bastard.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't disagree with it. I do think it should be that if you're offside, it can't be that your fucking shoulder's offside. You can't declare goals for
You
that.
can't give your arm offside. You can't score
I
with your
will
arm.
never complain. You will never feel hard done by if you're offside by that much, but providing the whole of your body's offside. If you're fucking leaning forward, because your feet, the part of your body that you score the goal with, could be onside, but you're leaning forward, your shoulders offside. How can that be offside?
Derek Harvey says they're only trialing it at the moment in 3 countries.
Oh, right, okay.
Why do they need to trial it? Why do they need to trial it? Because it's the way it used to be.
I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense.
Of course it does. Because there's no way you should be cancelling out a goal because, someone's like arm as like there's a couple of centimetres of arm in front of the defender or something like no, forget all that.
Sweden, Denmark and Italy. Oh, I'll be able to tell you because I'm going to watch a Danish league match in August. So there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
They need to sort out the handball rule, Garino says. Yes, they do. They do. They didn't have it sorted out towards the end, did they?
English Yardy says, Nick and the panel. Hang on a minute. Whoa. Fucking, we're not the panel. Yeah? We're not the panel. Right. It's Nick, John and Gary, right?
Read out his fucking... Come on. Put your ego down for a minute and read out the question.
English Yardy. Do I have to sing it in a Jamaican accent? Big round of applause for West Ham and Director of Football. Welcome to the 21st century of football. Stidton was wanted by Liverpool and Chelsea and Man United, but he chose West Ham.
Yes, he did. He did.
Well, he met with those clubs. Did they offer him a job? If so, if they were interested in him, then it just adds fuel to what Nick said earlier.
No, Gary. The reading, I've done a lot of reading on this guy now. He is. When I said he was elite, but he is. He's regarded as one of the best. He's got a fucking amazing reputation. So we've definitely got a good guy here.
Well, the thing is, if he's gone and spoken, he comes from a very, very good club in Leverkusen, where he would have been talking to some very bright, switched-on people. He's gone to speak with Liverpool, Man United, and who was the other one? Chelsea. Again, he would have spoken to, elite level clubs. He would have no doubt spoken to elite level people. You can't tell me that David Sullivan interviewed him for the job.
Yeah,
but maybe
he would have laughed his way out of there, wouldn't he?
That's what I said. There is no way Sullivan could convince a man like that to join him. Because even if Steaton was interested in the job, by the time he's spoken to him,
I know.
By the time he's spoken to him. Fucking, you know what I mean? It wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened. And Yardy, you don't need to apologise. But look, listen, John doesn't just have the biggest head; he does have the biggest ego. So
massive ego,
when you address people, that's why I've positioned him in the middle, just to keep him happy. So in future,
plus his head's so massive that one of us would tip off otherwise.
Say Virgil and Panel. Me and Gary will be fine. So it's Virgil and Panel. All right. So just for future reference.
No,
to stop him kicking the cat.
Virgil and Panel.
The reason I'm in the middle is you can't have 2 ugly people next to each other. Remember that? Scares the viewers.
Yeah. Right, I'll tell you what though. We'll touch on one more thing before we open the phone lines about Declan Rice. Fast forward, right? Fast forward, Arsenal fan TV, because one of the worst experiences about all this is having to deal with these fucking Arsenal fans, which have all vanished now, which I love. There's none at the moment. Yeah. Now we know what Arsenal fan TV are like. Okay, now fast forward, I don't know, 3 months of the Premier League season ain't going very well. Declan Rice hasn't quite acclimatized, right? It's not quite acclimatized. Arsenal fan TV, they're outside, they're raging because they're having a Chelsea, right? They're having a Chelsea. They're down. They're in the bottom half. They're struggling. They've just had their pants pulled down against Bayern Munich, in Germany, and they're not very happy. So How do you reckon it's going to go on Arsenal Fan TV? What sort of criticism do you reckon it's going to be? It's going to be funny, isn't it?
The Bloods and fans will be flying, won't they? They'll be flying everywhere. They'll be absolutely digging out Declan Rice, unless, to start with, they'll love him. He'll come in. They'll give him a few games to settle in. But once that little grace period is finished, if they tail off like that, they will be looking at him and blaming him, right? Because he's the record signing.
He's shit. He's shit. West Ham. This is why you don't buy West Ham players, Eddie going.
Yeah, I can't believe West Ham did actually pull our pants down.
100 million pounds. Edu out.
Oh my God, fam. Oh my God, fam. I'm telling you what, yeah. I'm telling you what, I will take him back there myself.
I can't believe how bad Havertz has been, even though he's been shit for 3 years already. And we signed him anyway. Honestly, they've had a right touch, Chelsea. They paid 70 million for him and they've managed to sell Havertz after being shit for 3 years. They've only lost 5 million on him. It's a good bit of business.
That is cracking business. I mean, I don't know why they bought him. I mean,
I reckon they let Arsenal spread that over about 10 years. They said, yeah, spread it as long as you want.
He's not. Havertz isn't a striker though. They're not buying him as a striker.
What are they playing in defence?
No, they play him in the midfield, like number 8.
He ain't a midfielder.
He ain't a striker either. I'm just going to tell you that.
Yeah,
he ain't a striker, mate. But the thing is about Arsenal Fan TV, or whatever it's called, right?
Fan TV, yeah.
The thing is about it, Robbie Lyle, the bloke who runs it, lovely geezer, he's good at his job.
Luton Town fan.
No, but that's what I was going to say to you.
Yeah.
The biggest plastic Arsenal fan ever. He used to support Luton. That says it all to me.
Yeah.
Is it
true? He used to support someone else. What?
Is it true he drives a Ferrari? Does he? He made a Ferrari. He
can't get in a Ferrari because I can't get in a fucking Ferrari.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. When someone said he drives a Ferrari,
they must have to grease him up first before he gets in there.
Exactly. It must be the 4-wheel drive kind of the big fucking people carrier Ferrari, if there is one.
Yeah. Fucking Arsenal.
Love packs his arse before he gets in, just so he can slip in through the.
Watch Chelsea.
I'm fat as well, by the way, so I can say that. Go on.
Watch Chelsea pay 200 million in 2 years' time for Rice, a player they rejected. Ooh.
Well, yeah, but it depends who you believe. But I think someone who was saying they spoke with his dad and about. Anyway, we shouldn't give out names like that anyway. But he was speaking with his dad, and his dad is totally against him going to Chelsea over what they did to him. But then again,
Gary, I've heard more on that, so I didn't tell you. Do you know why they're dead against and they've got the ump with Chelsea?
Go on.
It ain't because of what happened in the academy. It's because they tried to get him back to Chelsea a few years ago when all those rumours were going about with Matt Laws when it was coming out and they was trying to buy him. Chelsea wouldn't pay the additional money required to get him out of West Ham. They wouldn't pay it. That's why. That's why they didn't want it, because West Ham wanted more money than Chelsea were willing to pay. And that is why he will not deal with Chelsea now. So he's been trying to get out for fucking years.
Hang on a minute. No.
He has been, John.
You don't know that. You can't believe everything you
John. No, what we know for 4 years.
John,
what we know for 4 years, right? That fucker hasn't signed a contract. For 4 years, he ain't signed a contract. Now,
okay. Hang on a minute.
Hang on. Wait. He could have signed a contract.
Yeah.
There is no 100 million will buy him out of any contract. That's just
what's the contract worth?
I'm not fucking signing the contract for you, cunts. I'm too good for you. That's all he's been fucking doing the whole time.
Hang on a minute.
No.
Hang on a minute. A contract these days means fuck all. Right? Whether he signed it. Let me finish. Let me fucking finish. Let me finish, Nick. Let me finish, Nick. Let me finish. Let me. I'm on the panel tonight. Let me finish, right? See? What are you doing?
Come on. Just fucking finish them, we are.
Right. Why do you look... What,
let you land?
A contract means fuck all these days. A contract means nothing. He could have had an 8-year deal. If he wanted to leave, he could still leave. It don't matter. Contracts mean fuck all. They're not worth the paper they're written on.
Why didn't he sign it?
I don't know. But the way I look at it, let me finish before you jump in, you fucking Jim Roll lookalike, right? At the end of the day, he could have earned 10 million. He could have earned 10 million. With a fucking head like a thumb,
and you're calling me Jim Roll lookalike. Come on.
He could have earned £10 million more and he didn't sign it. Whatever reason, who's the fool? Who's the idiot? He could have earned the money. A contract these days, a contract is not worth the paper it's written on. We've got. Let me finish. Stop jumping in. We've done.
I've got a fly in here.
Well, stop doing karate chops. What you're doing. We've got the better deal out of this, haven't we?
Get your
We have got the
chopsticks
better
out.
deal out of this. We didn't pay anything for him, and we've sold him for 105 million. So what we got to worry about? Move on. Stop going on. Stop going on.
John, if a contract means nothing these days, why didn't he sign it?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I don't know, but he could have earned £10 million more go and still left now. He could have still left. He could have still left. That's all I'm saying. Whether he signed that contract on now,
it's a statement, though, isn't it?
And this is one of those reasons. It's funny how we always end up back on Declan Rice, but this is the
I'm
one reason.
going to ban Will Doyle. I'm going to fucking ban Will Doyle. I'm just telling you that.
But this is the reason why. You know, there were a few people
Hong Kong Fooey
on Twitter. They would create. There was a few photos that I saw where you'd had Rice alongside Billy Bonds alongside Bobby Moore as the three captains who had held silverware up. Now, it's factually correct. You can't deny facts. But, you know, really, Billy Bonds was, I know he came from Cheltenham, but he was a true one club man and legend. He wasn't holding up that first cup in 1975 thinking, I've got to get, I'll be moving next week. And Bobby Moore, I know that there was some issues around his contract in 1966, but in 64, when he won the FA Cup, he held that up, came back next year, won the next cup. Right.
Gary, can I ask you, is Declan Rice a West Ham legend? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, but you're judging. Oh my God. You're judging legends.
I don't think he's a Judas either, though, by the way.
Hang on a minute.
I didn't say he was a Judas.
You did, Nick. That's the first thing you said, he was a Judas. So don't say you didn't. You said it in your fucking
Scott Parker
video you did.
I didn't. I said Judas or legend. And I said in the video, if you'd have watched it, I said I rate him more with Scott Parker.
But you'd already called him a Judas in our WhatsApp group about 3 million times before you made the video.
That's because I think he's a fucking Judas. I think he is a Judas.
You just said you didn't think he was.
and yeah, look. Yes, we know that Billy Bonds, that Bobby Moore tried to go to Spurs. That was a little bit later, and there was also problems around 1966 with his contract getting signed.
Can I just say something though? Can I just say something though, Gal? Sorry to interrupt you again, mate.
Yeah.
With all due respect, you brought up Billy Bonds, Trevor Brooking, Bobby Moore.
No.
Legends aren't made like that anymore. You don't get players.
So is Bowen a legend?
Oh my God!
Let me
fucking finish.
Is Ben Rama a legend?
You said Noble's a legend.
Can you finish my sentence before you keep interrupting me all the fucking time? Right? Legends, everyone says all these legends, but they're from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Legends, no one stays at a club their whole career anymore. And when we do, let me finish. And when we do have someone that stays at their club, i.e. Noble, people go, he ain't a legend. He only stayed at the club because he was shit. You can't win fucking either way. Players do not stay at clubs for their whole career anymore. You will not get a legend. You can't judge a legend by the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
So why is he a legend then? Define legend. What's a legend?
Because
why have we got to call him a legend? Why has he got to be a legend?
You haven't got to call him a legend. I'm calling him a legend. I don't give a shit what you call him.
So define a legend then. What is a legend?
Wore his heart on his sleeve. Gave his all in every game. Fucking... He wore his heart on his sleeve.
Soufal wears his heart on his sleeve.
But he's not got the same quality, is it? He's not fucking got that mercurial, talismanic fucking talent of dragging the team through it, right? All I'm saying to you is you can't... When Declan Rice became captain and people were slagging him off, people started going, oh, Bobby Moore didn't do this when he was captain. But Bobby Moore wasn't in a world of social media where everything you do is fucking dictated to you through the media. You got a microphone shoved under your nose after every game. Declan Rice had to come out at the end of every game, even when he knew the football was shit, even when he didn't agree with Moyes' tactics, and had to go there and play devil's advocate.
No, there ain't a player in that squad that will be happy with Moyes' tactics.
I know. Imagine the responsibility of a 24-year-old captain having to pick up the pieces to that shit week in, week out.
Well, we'll agree to disagree. We'll agree to disagree.
Well, we will agree. We won't agree. I won't agree with you. No.
It's unfair to compare because it's unfair to compare because after all, Bobby Moore earned even in real terms a fraction of the money that Declan Rice earned.
What's that got to do with it? Whose fault's that?
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
If Bobby Moore was offered 70 grand,
I'm just
a week,
saying. I mean,
like,
that was apparent. Yeah, no, that was apparently the reason why he was trying to go to Tottenham at one point, because he did want more money, right? He did want more money, but nonetheless, he stayed, and he stayed his whole career apart from that last little bit at Fulham.
I think there is. I watched the West Ham Fan TV the other day, and I think Dan Lawless had he made a very good point. And he said, look, you ain't got to die to become a legend. He said, but it's very difficult to call someone a legend when they're still playing. I think that's quite a good point as well. I think a legend is something that you look back on maybe once they've retired and you look at what their achievements are and you go, yes. You evaluate it and you go, yes, they were a legend. They were a legend.
Is it right? If he would have gone to City, would you have said he was a legend?
No, because he left us at 24. I wouldn't have. No. Oh no. This isn't anything to do with the.
He didn't leave us. He didn't. Hang on a minute. This is what annoys me, Nick, about you basically, right? When you hear rumours that Payet wants to, Payet. When you say
Payet's not a legend.
Shut up a minute. Let me finish for once.
Oh, and he's angry today. Look,
no, because you don't ever let me finish, Nick. It really pisses me off. When you read a rumour that someone wants to leave, like Paqueta now, you go, well, why wouldn't he want to leave? The football shit. Hang on, let me finish. Stop trying to jump in. But now Rice wants.
It's a Virgil show. Go on.
But when Rice wants to leave, how comes you don't go, well, I can understand why he wants to leave?
Yeah, well, no, listen, but I wouldn't call Paqueta a legend. A legend is something that you. A legend is something that you earn. And let him land.
I think we kind of got it a little bit wrong. The definition, right? You know, the definition of legend is much simpler than that. It means somebody who is famous, notorious, admired in a particular area. And I think you could quite easily cover it off with that. So I think people have got this kind of hallowed understanding of what a legend actually is, and really the word legend
banded about a bit
doesn't mean that really. I mean, he is famous and admired because of an ability in a particular area, i.e., football. So yeah, he does qualify as being a legend. But I think we look at West Ham legend as these players that have spent their whole career or achieved something great with us, preferably both. Those times might not happen again. But I would say, I agreed with you, John, about Noble. I thought Noble was a legend.
I think he's I think he is now, in retrospect. Yeah, but no one would argue with it now, John. Nobody would argue with it now that he's a legend.
How can you not see it 18 months ago then?
No, because like I said to you, I think sometimes it is you look back at it, it's what they've achieved in their career, and you look at it and you go, yeah. And yes, you might say it ain't a modern day thing. Well, that's what makes it even more special, because you will still get players that stay at their clubs for their entire careers.
Very rare.
Yeah. And on those rare occasions, those players will be legends of their club.
Okay, but with all due respect, anytime we create or get a world-class player, we're not going to keep on to him, are we? Never. End of story. We've always sold our best players, haven't we?
Yeah, okay. But then they don't go on to be West Ham legends then.
No.
Well, we
have always sold our best players.
Yeah.
We've always sold our best players, even when we didn't have to, because the rules changed many years ago with that Belgian bloke, and it moved all the power across to the players. Until then, the power was totally with the clubs, and they could hold them to a contract whether they liked it or not. And Bobby Moore, just using that example, if you go back, it was 1966, just as the summer was happening and the World Cup was starting, he realised his contract had run out at West Ham. The only way he could play in that World Cup, well, he'd let it run down. He was trying to get a move to Tottenham. That was the only way he could play in the World Cup was to sign another contract at West Ham, which he did. So he won, age 23, already captain of England. He won the FA Cup in 1964, then won the Cup Winners' Cup in 65, and then went on to win the World Cup in 66. So he was actually in a much more advanced stage by Declan Rice's age.
I'm with Garino.
But Nick just defined a legend as someone that stays at the club, but Bobby Moore didn't stay at the club, then, did he? If you want to be,
but he left once the club were finished with him.
Okay, but that's not what you just defined as a legend, though, is it?
No, but he left. It wasn't his fault. He left when the club were finished with him. We didn't want him anymore.
Look,
okay, so when you don't want him.
Okay, but I agree that Declan is a legend. But why is he a legend if he was only at the club for a very short time? Then, if you want to again use that as a,
I'll tell you what, because he demonstrated loyalty like Rice has never demonstrated. When the great Alex Ferguson at their peak, Man United came calling and he turned them down. So there is that. He did demonstrate loyalty at a period when we needed him. And
Alex Ferguson's never confirmed that, by the way. But anyway,
yeah. Well, whatever. Di Canio has. So, so yeah. So there's a.
This is a great one from Usual Suspects. Just sorry. The men on the turnstiles who let you squeeze 2 in for 1 were proper legends.
Yeah. Look, what makes someone a legend in football is quite a good definition, actually. That's something special, and it could range from being one of the most talented players ever at that club, or to being influential in winning a major title that maybe the club hasn't won for many years, or for the first time, to being one of the clubs.
But John's pulling that face, right? John, hang on 1 minute, Gary. No, I won't. 1 minute, hang on. John's pulling that face. He won the title because he was the captain. Did he win us that fucking cup because he was shit in that final, or did Emerson, Benny, Paqueta, and Bowen? Because on that basis, that let me land, John. Let me land.
It's a big landing.
But basically, if you're saying that he gets legend status because he lifted a cup with us, then every other player in that fucking team gets legend status as well.
Right. Okay. So look. So let me finish what I was saying. The definition: it could be the club's top goal scorer all the way, or it could be making the most appearances ever at a club, which is a really important one. And that's where Noble made a shit ton of appearances, right? Deck actually made 250 appearances, which was actually a lot for someone his age. You know, it's much more than the likes of, I think it's much more than the likes of Lampard and Rio, isn't it?
Yeah. But I think with those sort of, well, not Lampard, but with Rio, that sort of crop of players, they were sold against their will, weren't they? It was not against.
Well, Lampard wasn't. He demanded out Lampard, if you remember, because his dad was sacked.
I know Defoe wanted to go, but the likes of like sort of Carrick and Rio and players like that, they were sold for money.
Yeah, Carrick didn't ask to go. Joey Cole didn't ask to go. We got relegated with a great squad. Lampard's dad got sacked, Frank Lampard Senior, and he went to Chelsea. If you remember, started slagging off West Ham and saying how the training was crap and everything else. Well, weren't that what your dad was doing previously?
Yeah.
And then so he played 148 times for West Ham, which is 100 times less than Deck.
Yeah.
And I don't know about Rio. I don't know how many he played, but I think it was around about the same as Ferdinand, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, I don't know.
So what I'm saying is he's on the borderline. You know, people were treating
about opinions at the end of the day.
127 appearances he made, Rio, so even less than Lampard. And at the time, people were giving him a load of love, Rio, when he came back and everything else. It's only in recent years where that stopped, you know. And it used to make me a little bit nauseous, I must admit. You know, similar to when Lingard came back when was it, when he scored that winner and they were clapping him and saying he wants to come home, and he came on the pitch and scored the winner. I mean, please, West Ham, don't let us ever do that.
But at the same time, do you know what? I definitely don't want us to fucking be horrible and boo him, because
don't boo him.
I want us to be better than that. You don't do that. But let's not hero worship him either.
To be fair,
don't mind a little clap, a little polite clap is absolutely fine. But don't sing his name.
When they're warming up, they'll do a little clap money probably. You know what I mean?
Don't sing his name. Don't say he wants to come home. Don't sing stupid songs.
Interestingly, though, it's all about opinions. We're never going to agree on it. You know, what makes you see a legend is probably what your emotions get into the game and all that.
Yeah.
But Nick, I must say, Nick, and Gary, you've heard Nick say this. He's probably said it on here many times. You've said many times before, Nick, that if it wasn't for Rice, we wouldn't have had the last 2 years that we've had.
No, we probably wouldn't have.
He pulled us through a lot of it, you know. So that's why I don't.
Yeah, no, look. Listen, I'm not saying he's a bad player. He's been a very good player for us and a very important player. But I cannot get over the fact that, because look, and you know what? I want to get over this kind of tin pot mentality from West Ham fans, where you're right with what you said, and I'm right with what I said there, that he has pulled us through. Nonetheless, as good as he was for us, Declan Rice is only as good as Declan Rice is because of West Ham.
Of course.
So 100%. So this sort of mentality thing where we should be grateful that we had him and we've got to wish him well and all this sort of... No. Declan Rice would be nowhere without West Ham. That is a fact, as far as I'm concerned. It's a two-way thing. It's a two-way street.
But look, Peter North says here, Virgil's like most of the Rice cultists. I don't understand what you don't get. What I'm saying, I'm disappointed he's left. I'm gutted he's gone to Arsenal because I hate Arsenal more than most. But I will not stand there booing and cunting the geezer. Oh,
but I don't think people will boo him, John. I mean, I won't boo him. Of course, I won't boo him.
Nick, some of the language used against Rice on social media since.
Also,
doesn't matter if it's emotion. It's bang out of order.
I'll let you finish. But there is one thing that I think that we need to say on this, and this is what I think this is true. When you're going through something like this, any fan, and this is the trouble with social media now, when you're emotional, people shouldn't be judged with what they say in the heat of the moment. Maybe if in 6 months' time and Declan Rice hasn't gone out and badmouthed us and stuff like that, and people are still reacting like that, then you can call them out for the way they're reacting and the things that they're saying. But at the moment, you take it at face value as it's basically people being emotional. It's as simple as that, I think. You haven't got to judge people for overreacting because they're upset.
No,
that's what I think.
We're all adults, no, in this equation.
Yeah, at the same time, Nick.
On social media.
At the same time, though, Twitter is available to everybody. People even tagging players, right?
Yeah, well, I don't agree with that. That's wrong.
No, and to do something like that and to, slag someone off directly.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Indirectly, directly.
Yeah.
So, look, I mean, if someone writes it on Facebook in a closed group or something like that, that's one thing. Twitter's another.
I'm just going to go and get a drink.
Go on then. Well, I'll open up the...
We'll open the phone lines.
I'll put... Wait a minute, because I'll tell you who's going to be waiting.
I'm just doing a search for photos on here to find out which badges Declan has actually kissed. And I can't find one where he kissed the Irish badge, right? Because surely it will be on it. I can't find one where he kissed...
He did. There is a photo of it.
I can't find one where he kissed the England badge.
Tony? Oh, it ain't going to work again. Tony, I'm going to have to call you back. Me little box of tricks ain't working. Hang on a minute, and I'll call you back.
Restarting it. Yeah,
I'm gonna.
The only badge I can find a picture of him kissing is West Ham several times.
There is one because it was peddled at the time when he dumped.
Yeah, I know. I thought I'd seen it, but I can't find it. And you think it'd come up, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but look, at the end of the day, it's done now. Listen, Rice isn't a horrible man. He's not a horrible young lad. But he is a product of a certain generation now. He's very ambitious. He's very ambitious. He's going to go to the top, and nothing's going to stop him. I think that's and I suppose look, there's nothing wrong with that. But I wouldn't dare like to say look, it'd have to be made of stone if he didn't have any affection towards the West Ham fans with the way that we worshipped him.
Yeah, and he was properly worshipped. Worshipped. I mean, we gave him the full love, didn't we? The full love, the full package.
He won't feel that love from any other fan.
Never again, John.
Hello,
Tony. You all right, mate?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. All good.
Sorry about that. My little box of tricks weren't working. So have you come to calm me and John down?
Well, I didn't think you were going to talk about Declan Rice. I was losing the will to fucking live, mate. I mean, John's got his right to think he's a legend. I personally don't. I think he's been a good servant to us, but not a legend. But I would not boo him. I'd applaud him on the pitch, and that's about it. That's when it stopped. But what I wanted to talk about, you have all touched on it anyway earlier. This Jim Steiden, Mein Führer or whatever he is. Yeah. I don't think Sullivan's ever heard of him. I'm on the same opinion as Nick. I think someone wants to buy the club. Maybe what's that bloke's name? Who Man United supporter?
Jim Ratcliffe. Jim Ratcliffe. Yeah.
Only the tanker, mate. I'm not a trucker. I'm above them. I'm above a trucker, mate. I think he's been placed there. Because I don't ever think Sullivan's ever even heard of the bloke, to be honest.
No, I don't.
I don't know who's placed him there, but I think if we've got new potential owners, they've said, we want this bloke in place. Because if that's true, that Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham, and a few other teams want him, this bloke's got to be something special. And I can't believe he's on the same level. Moyes ain't... I don't care about all his supporters that say, Moyes won us this cup, he should have a bit... He's fucking hopeless. This bloke, if he's as good as they say, you've got to give him complete control and let him bring in what he wants. I think Moyes will be gone out of 6 games. Well, I'm hoping and praying anyway.
Yeah, and the thing is, Tony, the thing is as well, right, is that if that was the case and he's been placed in here and Sullivan knows he's been placed in here, Sullivan wouldn't be telling anybody about that because he could jeopardize the sale. right?
Yeah.
And Moyes would definitely not know about it.
No. So like I say, and that's the thing. As much as we're telling you, we don't lie. We tell you what we get told. But look, ultimately, this does all kind of originate from that kind of the Sullivan, what he wants us all to hear. It might not be the actual case. So what we've been told and the way things are possibly going to be two different things. And that's why my opinion is that I don't think it is anything to do with Sullivan. I think this guy has been placed, personally.
Okay. It's like Sullivan. He's not like when he goes looking for managers, the only things he ever brings up is Benitez. He's not heard of managers like what Brighton get. He's not even probably heard of Postecoglou, who's gone to Tottenham. He's just got his little list of names of people who's been in the Premier League, right? And I've never heard of this bloke before. This Tim, whatever his name is.
No,
and
I hadn't.
You can guarantee Sullivan hasn't, but I'd like to know who's placed him there.
Yeah, well, like I say, I mean,
Who's recruited him?
I mean, look. Then you've got that. Well, hopefully, look. If it is someone that's been, say, it is a new owner, then it sounds like owners that might actually half know what they're doing because they're putting a director of football in place.
Just imagine if the footballing world have been sleeping over this story, and this is actually a strategy that gets triggered. I mean, it'd be the biggest, most well managed thing ever, wouldn't it?
It would be, yeah, it would be. This is weird. I mean, John, what do you think about this? Do you think this is pie in the sky? Do you think Sullivan would recruit a director of football? Bearing in mind, you know, like with Newman, because he hated Newman, like you said earlier on, because he took control away from him. Why would he put a director of football in?
It does look like it would more than likely be someone apart from Sullivan because it's so out of the ordinary. Because he's withstood such an appointment for so long. So it does back up the theory that it's done by somebody else. But whoever's done it is taking a massive gamble because the problem I foresee is that Steidten will go, I can't handle this bullshit.
He won't be able to work with Moyes.
That's what my main concern is. So you brought someone in who's obviously good at their job, but he's having to work alongside.
What's the point of bringing him in, though, John?
Well, that's what I'm saying to you. It does concern me that he will jump before he's pushed or anything because he'll just go, I can't work with these two dickheads.
No, if this guy fails, it's West Ham, not him. It's West Ham. Yeah.
The truth will out on this very quickly, right? The truth will out on this very quickly. You know, if this is a plant, if he has been put in there at the behest of someone else, and he can see, you know, he's a very capable bloke, a big, powerful personality. He goes in there and he realizes there's a player mutiny going on. The manager's useless, playing a terrible kind of football, and West Ham are going to be in trouble next year. He won't agree to any of the players that he wants to bring in, etc., etc. Then that will be, and I suspect it'll get to that. You get to that kind of boiling point pretty quickly. And that will tell us whether this is a plant or not. Because if it isn't, then Steidten leaves. If it is, then Moyes is out on his ass.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard about this bloke. He actually goes and watch training to make sure that his methods or his style is being implemented. And like I say, I can't see Moyes wanting none of this.
The thing is, Tone, we noticed it last year, especially when the first team and the under-18s played completely different style of football. Usually, an ethos or style works through the whole club. Yeah. As you know, my boy plays for Leyton Orient, and the way that my boy under 13 plays is in the same ilk that the new manager, Richie Wellens of Orient, who only come in last year, the whole club, all the age groups through the academy, change the way they play. That's how it's meant to work. So, yes, you're right. The director of football, if the director of football is going to have all control, it will be the style of play as well. But I just cannot see Moyes letting that happen. I'm sorry, I can't see it.
No.
That's my concern.
No, I can't. That's why it's all a little bit strange. All this, something don't sit right with this. It just don't sit right with this.
Well, also there's another reason for wanting to keep Moyes on for the rest of the season, and that is if you are in the middle of a sale, you don't hire a new manager now, do you?
On a long contract.
No,
that's right.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's like what Nick said. He's been placed in there to have a look, see what's happening. But if he's been on 3 months gardening leave, he must have seen what was going on at the club anyway.
You would have thought.
It's like Rice has gone. like I say, Rice has gone, yes, we do need a replacement. But what you could do is, if we got Harvey Barnes, he's a left winger, you could move Benny and or Cornell's in the middle and play, not like I want in there, Souček and Paqueta next to him. If we had to make do, we could do with it. And you've even got Downs. I do agree we need to replace Rice, but in worst case scenario, we could do that, overseeing what's happening, if you can see what I'm saying, before he...
Yeah, but I think in that situation, Tony, in that situation, the player we need to bring in is then the Souček replacement, who is basically the Rice replacement.
I'm saying I would like that to happen, but if they didn't, I mean, I want Souček gone. I think he's been useless, but maybe he might be a better player without Rice there. I ain't a great lover of Souček, but what I'm saying is, with what we've got at the moment, no one seems to be coming in. But I'd like that. God, what's the bloke from Zakari? Is it?
Oh, yeah, Zakaria. I called him Zachariah the other day.
Zakaria or whatever. I'd like him to come in. Like he's not an expensive player either.
Yeah,
and I do think we need to strengthen the left back spot as well. I'm wondering whether this bloke has got a portfolio with all this in there.
I know he has. He has 100%. He's going to come with players. It's whether or not, if this is true, what we're being told, that Moyes has got a veto on it, that he can have a say in these deals. But I hope not. But I think what we need, do you know what I'd love to see? Because even if we are going to play the David Moyes way, which I think we're going to have to do because we've got David Moyes. So if we're going to play counter-attack, do you know what I just wish that we would do? Just put some fucking pace in that team. So we're good on the counter-attack. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? You know,
turn it into a semi-watchable form of football, which it isn't at the moment, right?
Yeah, just put some real pace.
You know, he won't attack until we go 1-0 down, will he? Because 1 point's precious to him.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting. Like I say, this director of football, if he has got more power than we think, then he's going to be very protective over these players that he brings in. He's going to want them developed. He's going to want to try and maximise their value and everything else. And I do think that if David Moyes doesn't play ball and the coaching staff are not developing players and he ain't giving them game time, he'll soon be. I think he'll. Do you think?
So Jamie Tedman's is speaking about Amrabat, who we spoke about before. But
like him,
obviously, but obviously we've heard. I think it was Amrabat's brother who said, "Oh, he don't want to go to West Ham. He wants to go to a bigger club." Do you think that a director of football would have the power of persuasion almost to get people to go?
Yeah,
you know what? I know you think West Ham make that, but like almost sell the club to the players and agents. Do you think that's part of his duty as well? Do you think he's got the power to do that? And obviously the charisma. If you say he's a likable guy, he might be able to persuade players that think, you know, a few months back, I ain't going West Ham. They're not good enough for me. Do you know what I mean?
I think
his job is to sell the club to players. Yeah.
I think he can, John, because, and I'll tell you another thing, because I've told you when I've rung you before, Scamacca's off. I've got a funny feeling Scamacca's going to stay.
I'd love
and
it
if
to
he
stay.
does, I love the geezer.
A few people have said that tonight.
If he stays, I think that makes a big statement on what Stephen's got at that club.
Does.
I really do, because he's probably been told, stick with it. We're going to play this brand of football. Yeah. And he ain't going to be around a lot longer, Moyes.
And we all feel the same about that, Tony. We all feel the same about Tony. We all like Scamacca. We all rate Scamacca and want to see him given a chance.
Yeah,
100%.
No, we do. Look, I mean, some of the links that we've seen today. I mean, look, he would never go to Spurs because I would like to think that we'd never sanction that. Well, he'd probably go to Spurs, but I don't think that we would do that.
Nick, he wouldn't, mate, because I'd be in touch with the Italian side of my family. As soon as he walked into Italy, they'd top him.
They're quite. I think he's a wonderful player, and we haven't seen the best of him yet. And it would be shocking to let him go now. It would be.
He's quality. He is quality.
Yeah,
really is. Just hasn't been given a chance. Play him in the right. In the right system, he'll score goals. He scores with his head, he scores with his left foot, he scores with his right foot, he scores from outside the box. He's got a terrific shot on him. just hasn't been used properly.
No,
I feel
that's
sorry
right.
for the bloke. We get a decent striker, what we've been after for years, and don't use him.
No. It has been quite sparse for us for years. But the thing is, we're a bit of a graveyard for strikers, aren't we? I mean, look, even look, Danny Ings, he's not as shit as he's looked for us. You know, Danny Ings is he's still a good striker, but he's looked terrible because he ain't got pace. So getting us playing him, you know, asking him to do the fucking Antonio thing is ridiculous, isn't it? He ain't that type of player.
It's like asking me to play the Antonio role.
It's made him look. It's made him look awful. Yeah, and he ain't awful. He's a poacher. You know, that's what we bought. But
he's like a cocky, isn't he?
He is. But anyway, Tony, that's your well, actually you've had 13 minutes. You're lucky.
Fucking hell, Tony, you're taking the piss, mate.
Yeah.
That's all right, mate. Go on. I just wanted to say that I feel there's something more to this, like what Nick said, that we've got new owners or someone.
I hope so. I'm not saying that.
I'm hoping. I'm hoping that.
I'm not saying it from a position of knowledge, by the way. I'm not saying it from a position of knowledge because I don't know. It's just I don't know because nothing really about this makes any sense to me. So that would make sense. That would make perfect sense. But
yeah. All right, Leg. Well, have a great show as usual. Keep up the good work. And
who's your favourite, Tony? Who's your favourite?
Just tell John who's your just tell him you're his favourite player.
I agree with Nick more than
Get him off, Nick.
I respect your views, John, and Gary's. You
when someone says,
you all need each other, I think. You're like a Morecambe and Wise +1.
Why am I the +1?
I didn't say you were.
He's very sensitive tonight, Tony. He needs
when someone says,
I don't know what's the matter with him.
I'm gonna text Jodie and tell her to give him a cuddle midstream. Rub his shoulders.
Yeah.
Preferably.
That's what we're gonna. That's all you're gonna hear in Romford later on from the bedroom. Let me finish. She's gonna be screaming at the missus.
I needed to get on before him. Poor old Gary. He'd have jumped because he weren't first on tonight again.
Yeah. All right. Exactly. No worries.
All right, lads.
All right,
great show.
Cheers, Tony.
Cheers,
see you later.
Mate.
Bye.
Just quickly, Nick. You know when you said about West Ham a graveyard for strikers, right?
Yeah.
I had this article. I read it the other day. I found it. It was written in March this year. West Ham have signed an astonishing 55 forwards since Golden Sullivan bought the club in January.
Just under them, under their ownership.
Just under them, so 55 forwards signed, whether it be on loan or permanent deals.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
there have been some shockers, isn't there? There's been
Meadow, Benny McCarthy.
Yeah. Right, the number is there if you want to phone in. Anyone scrolling along the bottom.
Virgil, you play all the rights. You play what? You play all the right notes, but not necessarily in the right order. What does that mean? Everyone was saying Tony sounded like everyone sounded like Tony sounded like Stuart Pearce. Did you see that?
Yeah, he does a bit, doesn't he? He does a bit.
Yeah, look, and Hammers Mikey says, "What's that? What's this say? My Uber home tonight was a big donor. Oh,
we've got someone on the line that's gonna cheer us up. Hang on,
Gary from Romford.
No.
Hello.
It's Arnie.
Arnie.
Hello.
How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, good. I'm good. What about you?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Yeah, but apart from, well, I think we're all Declan Rice out now. How do you feel about the whole thing about him going to Arsenal? Are you a bit upset?
No, not really. Like I'm just glad it's over with.
Exactly.
I think sometimes we get the money in, and I just think it's the nature of football, especially as a club like West Ham. We get good players, we sell them on. It's always been like that.
Yeah. It has, yeah, and it always will. It always will, unfortunately.
Yeah, unless we get maybe some new owners. Hopefully, I mean, you never know. The football landscape is different now. It's not like in the old days. If we get proper owners in, we can compete with top 6 easily, I think, or top 7 or whatever there is now with Newcastle.
I think so, but I think Gary made the point earlier on. I think even the very, 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 very top clubs, like Man United lost Ronaldo to Real Madrid. It's kind of I think all of these players, when they're that good, they're gonna move about, aren't they?
Yeah, of course.
About.
Yeah, and I think if we go back 2 years ago when I think we were third around Christmas time, but we did invest in January. If we did that, who knows what would have happened? Sometimes it's the little decisions that decides if you go the right way or the wrong way. Like I'm really excited to see what this director of football is going to do. I think that's going to be really good for us. I think it's a new direction for the club.
Yeah.
I think the last.
That's what we all hope.
Yeah, the last caller made a good point, and that was, I know it was John. It was John that said it about. We know that we've struggled. We know that we've struggled to attract players. So players that we've gone after in the past, that's why it takes us so long to get players in, because maybe Moyes and Sullivan struggle to sell the project to these players. If this guy, hopefully, one of his key features is the fact that he's a very good salesman. And he can win people over. So you would imagine that is a big part of the job, Gary, wouldn't you?
Oh, massively. Yeah, of course. Communication is key. Managing egos is key. He's got to not only manage David Moyes and all of the players. David Moyes is a special type of ego. Also, David Sullivan is as well. So he's got to manage up in the organisation. He's got to do, he's got to bring all those different conflicting forces together and produce something that's going to deliver the goods. It's no mean feat, right?
No, I think also though what you got to remember is. I think you've got to remember the Steidman will also be selling himself. So what I mean is he'll be going to these players. Look at the list of players that I've made better players who have gone on to play for bigger clubs. So he will promote, and it sounds ridiculous, I think it's obvious, but he'll promote West Ham as a stepping stone to a bigger career. We've got to understand that will be part of his sales technique as well, i.e. the Brighton model, the whole thing that they do. Because the Red Bull model that we're supposedly aiming for, it's all well and good, but as a fan base, we're going to have to be prepared to see players come in, get good, and be gone pretty quickly, because that's pretty much what they do, no?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, don't forget, this is Bayer Leverkusen we're talking about. It's not like Red Bull, whoever. This is a similar kind of thing. It's data-driven, but there's no need for us to be the same as a Brighton or a Brentford. I don't want to be horrible because I really like both of those clubs, right? But they are smaller clubs than West Ham, right? So are Leverkusen.
But they're
run much better, and the way they find players, their scouting system is amazing. But what I'm saying is, they get rid of players as soon as they hit a threshold in value. As soon as they get a decent offer, they're out the door. I think we would do a better job in holding on to some of them. I think we lose the top players, when they turn out to be top players, because where you're going to move from West Ham, it's got to be to a top club, right?
I agree. And Gary, we've still got Arnie on the line. Arnie, what would you do in terms of? Would you be happy with that model? Would you be happy if for the next 5 years we became the type of club that went out and found maybe the best talent in the world, turned them into great players, and when they reached a certain level, we sold them. But then you've got the next great player coming through. Would you be happy with that as building blocks?
I think it's the only way we can go.
Yeah.
Because I think if I look at West Ham and compare us to the other clubs, the only difference between us and, let's say, Arsenal, Spurs, I think Man U and Liverpool are in a different stratosphere. But if you compare us to Spurs, Arsenal, and Chelsea, the only difference between us and them is that they have owners who have invested more. I think we have a better fan base. We have more sold out tickets at every game. We have an up-to-date stadium. So if we just get proper young players in and we keep them, it's also going to be more interesting as a club for new owners to buy. Like now we won a European trophy. If within the next 2 or 3 years we keep getting good young players in, and then if we sell them on with a massive profit, like we can easily take the next step and become like a bigger club.
I think we could as well. I think
maybe.
I mean, the only issue is I watched. This is very boring, by the way. But it was a reasoning as to why clubs can't easily become superpowers anymore, and this is FFP thing, right? And that's why Newcastle just can't come in and spend loads and loads of money. So it's almost like the big clubs are ring fenced. So that's why clubs like West Ham, although we're in London and we've got the stadium and you know you think would be worth a fortune. It's not like someone can come in and just throw loads of money at it. They physically can't. They're not allowed. You know,
I think what it does now is it forces clubs into gradual growth rather than immediate growth.
Yeah, because even Newcastle,
like what City and Chelsea did, right? It's a multi-season thing rather than over 5 years, maybe 6 years, rather than dominating inside a couple of years.
Yeah,
yeah.
But
if you look at, but even even the top teams have got their separation. I mean, if you look at Liverpool, I think the year they won the league, I think in that summer after they won the league, they spent something like £4 million.
Yeah.
Oh, net spend. Yeah.
So even a big club like Liverpool, they can't always compete with City and all that. They are in a different echelon. We're never going to get there, in my opinion.
No.
But I just think that if we keep.
Yeah, go on, Arnie. Sorry, mate.
No, but let's say that we get in 3 or 4 good young players, and then they turn out to be a bit like Declan Rice, not player style wise, but if we sell them on, then we get like a big transfer fee, because I think a lot of times the last 2 or 3 seasons we almost every time we sell a player we make a loss.
Yes.
Whether it's what's his name, the guy from Lazio, Haller, now Vlasic. It's almost like we buy for 30 million and sell them on for 10. Like that's just a bad business model.
It's everyone, even Diop. You know, Diop's like 26. We got him when he was younger. I mean, any other club, they'd have been selling him on for 40 million. But you know, us, he just ended up. You know, we missed our chance to sell him when he was apparently we could have got about 60 million for him. And then he just kind of wasted away. And then we sold him when he was just no use to us anymore. But he weren't a bad player. And that's kind of what we do. We're incredibly bad at business.
Yeah, we've got to do it better. We've got to sell. We've got to sell players, not like Brighton and Brentford do, but we've got to sell players at the right point,
the right time.
Like for instance, if you had a switched-on director of football, he might have known that Souček has big weaknesses in his game, and the right time to sell Souček, even though it would have upset the fans at the time, would have been following the season after he got the Hammer of the Year. Because he was at the peak of his powers, and he was probably worth about 60 million at the time. Now we'd be lucky to get 10, 15, 20 for him.
But I don't think you could have foreseen such a drop-off in form. I think
if you're a football person, John, and you would have watched him train, maybe, that weakness of not being able to find a pass and panicking under pressure and stuff like that, surely that didn't just happen, did it?
No, but that's
I know about it.
Right, if you watch him enough, I suppose. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think the reason why Souček took a step back is because Declan Rice was, I wouldn't say promoted more, but Moyes cared more about expanding Rice's game. So it seemed like Souček had to take a step back. Yeah, exactly.
There was that. That's when it all went. Yeah, that's when it all went tits up to start with, wasn't it? That was when they pushed Deck forward and then ended up switching it around again. So you're right.
I do think that what Souček brought to us when he first came in, which was so important. You know, we all know that when David Moyes came in, we were bottom of the fucking running stats. We were bottom of everything. You know.
Yeah.
And what the likes of Souček brought us and Bowen is they brought us effort, and it was infectious. You know, he really sort of drove the team on. We was effective at counter attacking. You know, the balls into the box were good, so he was a threat. I still think he could possibly be that same player. I just think that maybe we've evolved as a team, or at least we should have. Really, I think the players around him have got a little bit better. And playing alongside Rice probably hasn't helped him because technically we know he ain't the best, Souček. So it's probably been quite uncomfortable for him, really. Wouldn't you say, John, if you was Souček having to play next to Rice, must be quite awkward, really.
Yeah, but
to a degree.
But you say it's awkward, but you'd be happy that somebody could do so much and actually make your job. Rice being there should have made Souček's job easier.
Should have,
actually. Because he could say, right, you can do all that. But the problem with Souček is he couldn't do the basics. If you can't do the basics, don't matter who you're playing with, you're still going to look shit.
Yeah.
That Rice should have made Souček look better, not worse, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because Souček could have had more bravery on the ball, could have had more, faith in what's behind him. But he just shit.
Yeah. So Arnie, using our your knowledge of your football in your local area, what have you got any little gems from your local leagues and stuff like that Tim Steiten might be looking at? Because has he picked up any players from your neck of the woods in the world? Are there any young players, up and coming players that you think that we could see coming through from the Danish league? Because why not?
Ooh,
I'm not sure. The Danish league is not it's not the best, and most of them they go to FC Copenhagen, and no, I don't see any players from here.
Oh, really?
There might be one player who played for FC Co. I think he's like a young attacker, like winger, but I just think that it's the player. It's not the kind of player West Ham should go for. I think we should look more into Ligue 1, the French league. I think there's top quality players there, and you can get them for like 20, 30, maximum 40 million. I think we should look into to that league and strengthen our club.
Apparently, the success rate when they look at players coming from European other European countries leagues, apparently the success rate from France to the Premier League is the highest out of all the others.
Yeah.
So I'm told.
Yeah.
I can believe that. So
they're good technically and they're physically strong.
Yeah.
And then most of them have a good motor. Like they can run forever. A lot of them. It's perfectly suited for the Premier League.
So Arnie, it's good that you're on, because a couple of weeks ago I watched your Netflix miniseries called Arnold, which is absolutely brilliant.
Oh,
It's superb. I never knew Arnold Schwarzenegger, had three distinct careers, three separate careers, and was amazingly successful in it. I knew he was Mr. Universe, but he was Mr. Universe like 5 times and Mr. Olympia like 7 times. So he'd done everything he could in weightlifting. And then he went on to acting, did everything he could in acting. And then he went on to be governor of California and done some ridiculously amazing things in politics. He was 3 careers.
I will say, listen, use the term actor loosely. He's never.
No, I know. But
he's literally always Arnold Schwarzenegger, isn't he? In whatever fucking film that he plays.
Also, you use the word politician loosely.
No.
Have you seen some of the clowns that get voted in America?
Honestly, I didn't know. I knew he was a Republican, which is like a conservative. I knew that, right? And I knew he ended up being governor of California, which is a Democratic state, right? So I thought, well, how does that work? So you're Republican with a load of Democrats. He actually, in his leadership team, put a load of Democrats in there and pissed off. He basically was in there as an independent, and he'd done some really cute things. It was pretty impressive for an actor and a weightlifter.
Yeah.
So Arnie, well done.
He just went. Well done. But that's how we have to do it. Do it the Hammer way. Always believe in ourselves. We can do it, and we have to keep visualizing stuff. Before we first visualize and then we effectize or whatever it's called. We can do it in real life.
So Arnie, before we close the call, very, very quickly, for next season, bearing in mind we've got the massive ego that is bigger than ever in David Sullivan. We've got the massive ego and narcissist in David Moyes, and then sandwiched in between them, we've got this guy Tim Steiten, who apparently also has a rather large piece of ego. Going to be in there as well. How do you see this going, this marriage? Do you think it's going to go well, or do you think it's going to be like a soap opera? Do you think it's going to go mad?
No, I think it's going to go well. I think the only outcome I can see is this Tim Steedman, that he's going to come out on top. He's going to go in there. He's going to realize, okay, if this cup has to go in the right direction, Moyes, he's going to look fairly soon, I think, that this is not the right manager, and I'm sure he already has other managers like written down that play his style. So I think he's gonna, like, let's say put our club in the right direction. And then Sullivan, I think he has to follow Steedman, because even though he's egotistical, I think he also knows that if he wants to sell the club with a profit, he can't keep doing the old way with Moyes. He needs to go in a new direction.
Yeah.
I think maybe for a month or two, it might be there might be some, not drama, but some confusion, whatever. But then the more he settles in, this team Steedman, I think he's going to do well.
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of time.
I think Tim Steedman will do well. It's just whether or not, you know, like you say, whether or not David Moyes can exist in that, you know. We'll find out. It's going to be interesting.
I think you have to.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, but I don't think Moyes has a choice. I think he has to. He has to come with that, and it's also going to be much easier to let Moyes go now, because he has 1 year left. So it's not going to be any
be cheaper
problem or whatever.
Yeah.
It's cheaper, and it's going to be the right. It's going to be a more logical decision as well if it's not going the right way.
Yeah, agreed.
Absolutely. Anyway, Arnie, thank you very much for the call, mate.
Thanks, Arnie.
Hang on.
Yeah,
Before you go,
welcome.
hang on. You got to say something. Quote an Arnie quote. You cannot leave without saying an Arnie quote. Your choice.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not sure if you remember this movie, but he actually did a Shakespeare quote once in a movie where he said, like, "To be or not to be, not to be."
I don't remember that. You're gonna have to go again. Say that's brilliant, baby. Go on.
Okay. He says, "To be or not to be, not to be." It's from the Last Action Hero. It's from the Last Action Hero where he plays the Hamlet.
Oh, right. Okay. I think I remember. I think I do remember that one now. Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, that's another one. And like my favorite movie is Conan the Barbarian, and then he goes like at one point, "Grum, if you don't grant me revenge, the hell with you."
Good man, Arnie. Thank you very much, mate.
Cheers, Arnie.
Cheers, Arnie.
Yeah, take care. Have a good
Speak
evening.
Cheers.
You too.
Care, mate.
Ciao. Bye-bye.
God, talk about love himself. He watches all his own films over and over again.
Yeah.
Right, hang on. Gary's going to be incandescent with rage. He's third.
Well, why was he third?
No, he put the phone down on us.
He missed his chance.
He's asleep. He might be in bed.
That's out of order.
No, he's back.
Yeah.
Hello, Gary, you put the phone down on us. It's too late, mate.
Hello?
Hello, Gary. Sorry, we've got someone else on the phone now.
What's going on tonight? I'm third in line. What is going on, John?
You're too slow, aren't you?
He's taking the piss, mate. Nick's taking the fucking piss, Gal. I'm telling you, mate. I won't have it.
No, I'm only a side salad now on this show. I know.
Well, not a side salad that Nick eats. Nick don't eat side salads.
Well, you saw my dinner the other day. Lovely side salad that was.
How's things anyway, lads?
All good. All
Good.
Thanks, mate.
Looking forward to the soap opera.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused with Declan Rice thing in the moment. I'm very quickly to talk up to my main point. I'm very confused with Declan Rice, how I feel about it all. There's part of me is very angry, like Nick was the other day. But there's a part of me also that can see perhaps why he's done it. I mean, when we all slag off Moyes and about our style of football, and you see what Arsenal are playing around Tessa, from that point of view, you can see why. But do you honestly think, if we, say, last season had new owners, like really rich owners, like the Kuwaitis come in or something like that, with a younger manager in place like Alonso, do you think Declan would have stayed? You do? Yeah. Because it just seems to me, this season, it's almost could be like a wasted season, because it seems to me what everyone thinks can happen, we're going to start poorly, and in about 6 or 8 games, he'll be gone. It's just a gesture to keep him there because we won the conference.
This is my worry. This is my worry that this turns into the same last season that Allardyce had.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think if this guy's in place, I'm going to try and be positive about it, really, because you know we are going to be going out there getting a load of players that I hope that I've never heard of. That's what I want. I want to see fucking 20 million. I don't know where's he come from. You know, that's the type of player that we want. You know, players that are a typical product of a scout who's done some digging. You know, and that's kind of where we need to be. I don't think with the money that we've got, even though we've got 166 million, if we sell the players that we're set to be selling, it's a bit of money, but it's not really when you consider the Declan Rice tax that we're gonna have to play on every fucking deal, you know.
Yeah, I know, and also this Paqueta thing going out in Scamacca. I want the club to come out and say now, you know, these players are not for sale. We can't let Paqueta go, Rice, and maybe even Sergio, complete rebuilding midfield. You can't do that in one go.
I don't think they will sell Paqueta. Look, even if Paqueta wanted to go, I don't think they'd sell him because they can't.
No.
We physically can't sell him at the minute. So, but the worry is, and this is what I've said before, we know that there's players there that are unhappy, but you need that. If you're going to keep them, then you're going to need to build some bridges, because the last thing that we need next year is a load of pissed off players. You know, you don't need that. Yeah. So it's all very well saying you can't sell them, but the likes of, say for instance, like Scamacca, we've all listened. If Scamacca wants to go, he doesn't strike me as a type of character that you make stay. he looks like the type of guy that if he wants his move, you're probably better off just letting him go, to be honest, because he's going to cause all sorts of fucking issues. And not everyone is going to go down and just behave themselves, are they? They're not.
No,
they're going to cause issues.
I think it's also important the club get some good young players in there. The Barnes is the lad from Bristol City, Scott, a few other lads. And then you can start forgetting about the Declan Rice thing, you know. But it's what annoys me, though, is this term big club. I mean, I've watched some of the Arsenal fan TV last few days, and they're all on a high. They've got our captain. But the thing is, historically, Arsenal are probably the third biggest club after Man United and Liverpool. If you're going by for the last 40, 50, 60 years. Yeah. But in modern era times, I mean, we've got the second biggest attendance in the country, which doesn't get said enough. We've got a massive fan base. We're only let down by the owners, really, and then from the owners to the manager. Like I say, if new owners come in and a new manager like Alonso, there's no limit to what we can achieve. You know, really. It's
the Arsenal as well.
It's sideways all the time. You know, sideways all the time. Sideways and backwards. It shouldn't be happening.
Don't that annoy you, Gary? Don't that annoy you when they say he's coming to the Arsenal?
Yeah.
That fucks me off.
I agree with what Gary said. I agree with what you just said there. I agree. We could be, and I disagree with what you said earlier about John, about we could never be one of these giant clubs. Bloody hell, if Chelsea became a giant club and City became a giant club, Newcastle becoming a giant club, we could definitely become a giant club with the right amount of money, right? That's all that separates us.
Yeah, but Gal,
I mean...
Only with that supersonic ownership. That's what I
mean. But that's what it takes. That is what it takes. That's what it took. I don't think
we'll get that though. But you know.
Yeah. No, I mean,
you've got to be so lucky to get good owners, haven't you?
Yeah,
you've got to be so lucky.
If you took the money away from Chelsea initially and Man City initially, where would they be then clubs? They were never big clubs. They were maybe not even be in the Premier League. They're probably mid-table. You know, maybe even not in the Premier League. But the money. So if the money's there, it can be done.
But the worry is right. Everyone wants a piece of the Premier League, and you've got different types of owners. You've got these kind of investors. You've got investors, and then you've got, I don't know, states and sugar daddies who want to go and buy, as a toy, go and buy clubs as a toy. I think that's what you want. You need to either be owned by a country or owned by a multi-billionaire who just wants to throw money at it. Because, if West Ham were bought by a businessman who just wanted to, I don't know, get a good solid return out of us, we'd never grow. We'd never compete. We never actually would. It'd take fucking decades to do this Red Bull thing, to make enough money off of transfers to eventually get to that sort of level. The only way you can get there is through someone throwing a shitload of money at it. That's it.
Yeah. And I mean, you come back 3 years ago, we finished above Arsenal and Tottenham. And even the following season, we only finished below them because we finished 7th the following season. Because we were playing in Europe and neither of them were playing. They were playing once a week. I think we finished above the pair of them. We had a Europa League. But I'll just get a bit. I mean, I saw Nick the other night. He looked really fed up Nick the other day.
It's been a shit week.
That's how I felt. I felt like that, and I think Arsenal got him. Go on.
The thing is with us as a club is, I think I read an article and I alluded to it before. We have, I mean, the Premier League started in 1992, which was what? How many years ago was that?
31.
I think West Ham have spent like 26 seasons or something ridiculous in the Premier League out of those 31 years. So we must be up there. We are up there with the amount of seasons in the Premier League with some of the big clubs, and we still just constantly underperform. So it's just indicative, it's indicative of the club. But the difference now is we've got a massive stadium, like you say, the capacity is almost 60,000 or whatever it is, and you just want to push on, but I'm not sure we can. And I hope, I'd love to, but for the amount of time, for the amount of years in the Premier League, we've truly underperformed.
Yeah, we have.
And it's consistent.
I think also, even a minority of West Ham fans that talk the club down sometime. I heard someone say the other day, West Ham will never be in the Champions League. Hang on a minute. I mean, 3 seasons ago, we missed the Champions League by 2 points.
Yeah, and we will do exactly what we achieve will be directly proportional to what owners we've got, right? I mean, we won the Conference League because we've got Sullivan in charge. If we had richer owners, wealthier owners, and money was no object, then we'd be winning bigger trophies.
I think when a lot, I don't think a lot of fans talk the club down, Gal. I think it's more a lot of West Ham fans are expecting something to go wrong. So we get close to something and then something goes tits up. You know what I mean? It's almost like an expectation of. So I don't think they're slagging off their own club, but they just expect a problem to occur.
I mean, if you go back to 2016, when go back to 2016 when Bilic was here. So from 16 up until now, even that season we was right close to the Champions League, but we blew the last couple of games against Swansea and Stoke, didn't we? Yeah, that was there. So really, the last 6 seasons, really, we've been knocking on the door for the Champions League quite a few times. And
we should say,
you know what really annoys me? If he just done one more season, Declan, just one more season this year, and we'd have won that Europa League, and you can do it because we've got to the semi-final. We've beaten Seville, who own the competition. We've beaten Seville, don't forget, 2 seasons ago. We would have been in the Champions League, and then Declan could look at it and thought, well, I'm in the Champions League now. Do I stay or do I move on? That's what annoys me. He's become almost like is he a really nice bloke, or is he just coming like a brand?
Yeah.
I don't know. The thing is, with footballers at that level, they are a brand as well as anything else, mate. They are a brand, and whether you like it or not, they earn good money. I get that. It is a very short career. A lot of the footballers who are savvy, they sort of prepare for the end of their career. You know, the Nevilles, the Carragers, they were looking to go into that far before they retire. A lot of them have got foresight, and I think Declan Rice is building up his brand because, look, we know he's pissed a lot of West Ham fans off now, but there's no getting away from the fact he's a likable character. He's a likable guy. He's got a good personality. He has to think about the next step, both in a career, but also what after football, because he's 24. He might have 10, 11 years left at the top. That's not a long time. So unfortunately, that's the model.
John, I was going to say to you, I was listening to a couple of channels the other night, and with Mikel Antonio, he's one of them players. He's a bit like Benny. He sort of splits opinions, doesn't he? I mean, I always liked Antonio, but some fans, want to see him gone and slagging him off, and I'm thinking, there ain't that many strikers that could play that. I mean, Scamacca, as good as he is in that system we're playing at the moment, he couldn't play that system as Antonio does, like against big centre halves. And then that's what worries me.
Antonio hasn't helped himself with recent podcast comments.
No, I know.
But
I know.
Like I always say, mate, and what I said to Gary and Nick a minute ago on the show, we've had 55 strikers under Sullivan and Gold, and Antonio, a non-league right back, is our Premier League all-time top goal scorer. So that to me deserves more acclaim than it actually gets. But he has ruined himself with stupidness he comes out with.
I'll
never take away from what he's done. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What do you think happens here? What do you think happens now with the strikers? I mean, I personally like to see Ings go and Obama take his place. But do you think Antonio and Scamacca want to be out, want to stay? How do you see it?
But why would you like Ings to go? What's Ings done wrong for you to want him to go there?
I don't
I just think he's past his sell-by day. I just don't think I'm not really impressed with what I've seen.
Yeah, but Gary, like we said this earlier on,
not being used correctly.
He's not being used correctly. Danny Ings 5 years ago would have looked shit in this system.
Yeah.
He might be a little bit slower than he was then, but it's still been crap.
He's not as bad as he's looked.
No.
Moyes' system
maybe he's not. But I just think we got him 2 years too late. You know,
maybe.
Off his best. I want to see Obama be one of the 3 strikers now in the squad, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it would surprise me if he gets any more minutes than what he got last year under David Moyes, but we shall see. We don't know. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. I'd love to see, like you, I'd love to see it. I'd like to see him brought through and given, you know, regular sort of 5-10 minutes at the end of games. You know,
he's got to get more time in cup games at the very least.
Yeah, absolutely. Just get, you know, and he could be, you know, he could be our main striker in a year's time, but he's never going to be if he don't get a chance.
I'd like to also see a couple of others come through, like Skulls, etc.
Yeah, well, there's loads.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's 2 or 3 there. What about that Potts? Do you think he's got? He could be. He could be a right back.
He looks really good. He looks really good. He runs like Declan Rice. He tackles like Declan Rice. It's like he's been watching Declan Rice.
I think Potts will be taking Coventry's position in the club. I think Coventry
will
move on.
Yeah, Coventry will go.
And Potts will.
Coventry. They said they're going to give Coventry. They're taking him to Australia, aren't they? That ridiculous tour. And they said they're sort of it's pretty much like make or break for him, isn't it? I think they're going to look at him there and decide.
It's a shame. He's a good player. I don't think he's quite good enough for what we.
I don't think he's Premier League standard.
I think it's about time we moved him on so he can crack on with his career. Really, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
And same with Johnson as well. Johnson is a bit part player for us, isn't he? And we've got these great youth prospects coming through. Why not make a youth prospect a bit part player instead of Johnson?
Yeah,
we've got an Arsenal fan in the chat. We've got an Arsenal fan in the chat.
Have we? Oh no!
Is he all right?
No, he's
guys after
very nice.
Nuno Tavares.
Guys, after Nuno Tavares.
Oh, we don't mind nice Arsenal fans. They're
yeah. He's biding his time.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, with Arsenal fans, they're a funny lot. I mean, there are some right idiots there, but there's 1 or 2. I mean, Lee Judges.
He's all right.
They're not all bad. We've got family that are Arsenal fans. They're not all bad, but they've got such a load of wankers in their fan base.
I've got family that are Arsenal fans. Some of them are knobheads.
Lee Judges was on the other day with one other Arsenal fan, and he said 1 or 2 Arsenal fans having a dig at West Ham. He said, "Hang on a minute, show a bit of class here." He said, "Don't forget, we lost Van Persie to Man United seasons ago." He said it can happen.
So
show a bit of class. He dug them out.
Yeah,
you know, and
it's good. It's good to hear.
They're not all idiots.
No, but I think that's probably. I mean, look, if we're being honest, I mean, John might not be, but you know,
why would I not be honest?
No, not honest.
Notoriously dishonest, John.
What I mean is you've got a hatred of Arsenal that's been there forever.
It's family. It's family.
Yeah, it's family. Whereas with me and maybe Gary, I think it's only been over this recent, and it isn't just Arsenal fan TV, it's a lot of the Arsenal fans on social media and stuff like that, but I think maybe sometimes social media does polarize it a little bit more, and it doesn't give you a full it don't show you what everyone's like, but the Arsenal fan TV have really fucked us off.
I see we you know, a lot of our family support Arsenal like John, but not annoying ones, and so I never really had a problem with Arsenal at all. I always thought of them as like a kindly aunt, you know. That was about it, really.
Arsenal, so did you come from North London, John? Did you come from North London originally?
My mum originates from Islington, so she married my dad, who was from East London, and she moved to East London. But all my mum's brothers and sisters stayed in North London, so all my cousins are Arsenal fans, mate. So I've had it all my life, really. But with Arsenal fans, you've got 2 types of Arsenal fans. You've got the Mandem. And you've got the Where's Wally Brigade, who have just moved in, who go there and sit and eat avocado and lentils at half time. You got that's it. That's all you got. The Mandems and the Where's Wally Brigade. That's all you got.
I used to listen. I used to live near Arsenal. I used to live in Islington, and from my back garden, you can actually hear Highbury, and it was just happened to be the time they won the league, which was, I think, that season that celebration towards the end. That was literally the only time they made a noise all season.
Yeah.
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 It wasn't
By
much
By
of a
the way,
noise.
lads,
Go on, Gary.
when you want, if and when you want to do the curry, I've got some massive discount.
Very big. No, yeah, we will let you know, mate. We'll let you know.
We're
when we
struggling
can.
to book it at the moment. We're struggling to agree a date.
It's trying to get everyone to agree to a date at the minute, mate. Once we know, we'll let you know.
Yeah, what was you going to do? Was you thinking of going to Enfield, Pinkford, or Romford? Did you decide?
We don't know yet. Once we've sorted out a date, we'll sort out the venue.
Yeah. But I'll get a nice big discount anyway if you want to do that. So let me know.
We'll do, mate. We'll do. Well, thank you very
just
much,
wants-
Gary.
Nick just
Cheers,
wants
Gary.
unlimited poppadoms for Nick.
Chutney. Yeah.
Yeah,
Chutney.
See you later. Take care.
Yeah.
See you later.
Cheers, mate.
Take care, mate.
Bye, mate. Bye.
Right.
Bye.
I think that we've got a couple of others. I am sorry. I've got a really early start tomorrow. I've got to drive down to fucking Trowbridge. So
yeah,
drive down to Trowbridge.
Oh, mate, that is a horrible drive. It's bad, especially first thing in the morning.
Getting expenses, I mean, can't complain.
Yeah. Still.
Probably getting a lunch and all that, Five Guys and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But anyway, Gary, do you wanna?
Yeah. Thank you all for your lovely comments in the chat. It's been a good show. Actually, enjoyed it. It's always a good show, isn't it? It's always a good show.
Good, yeah.
So I think this soap opera is going to be one that runs and runs and runs. We're going to have plenty to talk about, as well as players that might be coming in and players that might be leaving, and upset between Moyes and Stidman and Sully sticking his oar in every now and then. Watch this space. Anyway, as we said last time we did the Sunday show, which was last week, if we've got enough to talk about next week, we'll do a show next week.
I'm sure we will.
And at this rate, we probably will.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, see you soon. Come on, you irons.
See you later. Come on, you irons.